This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 185, and this week I am very pleased to be joined by a first-time guest and a Voices of Wrestling contributor, Jeri Evans. Hello, Jeri.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing as I'm doing, I guess, you know. I hate answering that question lately, honestly. It's like doing the same as always. So I always tell my dad.
It just seems like the appropriate thing to ask when you're invited on a show.
No, it's fine. I just like... It's become a thing now where my dad calls me almost every day, and he always is like, well, how's it going? How you doing? And it's like, the same as yesterday, Dad. It's just life is just, the same.
We're in a pandemic.
Yeah. Like, I never leave my house. I mean, like, what do you want me to tell you? But yes, how are you doing?
I'm a little tired in a good way.
Yeah.
Despite being a pandemic, somehow things still get me sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
well, we've been playing a lot of Among Us in the Voice of Wrestling Slack, so that's been fun. That's actually probably the most exciting thing going on in my life right now is the nightly Voices of Wrestling Slack Among Us games, which I dragged my girlfriend into, and she's been like increasingly horrified about how good I am at like lying my way out of trouble. And it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I've been doing my entire life.
Yeah, well, that has to be hard to play because, to be honest, all Voices of Wrestling are kind of suspect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, you have like Rob Reed always uses the Fiend as his name, so it's like the Fiend is here, and it's like, well, I definitely suspect you. I mean, you're the Fiend.
It's like you're the Fiend, and we can suspect murder and bad books, so
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, so that's, like I said, probably the most exciting thing going on right now, just the Among Us games. But what we're here to talk about, of course, is the New Japan World Tag League and Best of the Super Junior Night 9, which was Sunday, December 6th at Fukuoka. I am also going to do a solo review on the DDT D-Ou Night 6, which will be in the same episode. So, you just get a little musical interlude to the audience listening, and then we'll go right to that review after New Japan. But as far as New Japan goes, of course, I've been covering both these tournaments as well as the DDT D-Ou over on the Omakase Patreon. So I do want to plug that since, it's just been a ton of audio coverage on there. The patrons seem to be enjoying it. It's a lot of work, honestly, covering 3 tournaments at once, again, because we did it with the G1, the N1, and the Champion Carnival. But, I mean, it's a good kind of work, it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad the patrons seem to enjoy it, so, but I'm definitely also looking forward to it, looking forward to it being over, so I can't really lie. But yes, you can hear all the audio reviews right now at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. It is the start of a new month, so it's a great time to sign up for $5. You get, like I said, everything we've done on all 3 tournaments. The last Patreon exclusive episode I just did with Jeff from also from Voice of Wrestling. He and I did World Tag League Night 8 and DDT D-Ou Night 5. I gave my top 10 matches of the World Tag League through 8 nights, which I'm not going to do here. If you want to hear that, you have to go onto the Patreon. So if you want to hear my top 10 picks, if you want to go back and, pick and choose and find the great matches, because there were some really great matches in that tournament. Not like all of them were good. I mean, there were plenty of skippable stuff and plenty of stuff that was just good. But like there were through 8 nights, I think there were 8 matches that I had at 4 stars or better. So you can find out all the ones I had rated that highly over on the Patreon. Did the same thing for the Best of Super Junior at the end of the Night 8 review. So again, you can go through that and find all the best matches from the Best of Super Juniors through Night 8. And I got very fired up about Hiromu and Taguchi, which was just an awesome match. So you can hear all that in the Night 8 review. And then coming up this month, we have another new one-match series where I'll be reviewing all the Tokyo Dome main events in order. So that will be going on probably all through December and January. We're not going to get to all of them, I don't think. So it'll be like a multi-year project, but it definitely will be a lot of fun. So that will be starting this coming week, the week of, I guess, December 6th. So definitely check that out on the Patreon, our new one-match series. It'll be a fun way to, we'll talk about the main event, obviously, but also, a little bit about the rest of the card. It'll be an excuse for me to go back and read my Eggshells book again, the excellent Chris Charlton book. So, it should be
That's a great book.
It is a great book, indeed. I got to appear on one of the companion podcasts he did, so it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. And I think we did. I think I was on the Noah episode. I don't even remember anymore. It's been a while, but I think it was it was the first Noah one, the Kobashi Akiyama one, I think. But I'd have to go back and check, I guess. But yeah, so that we're going to be doing every main event, every Tokyo Dome main event. That will start this week. We'll be doing our year in review series that we do every year here on the free feed. Some of that will be on the free feed. Some of that will be on the Patreon. So you'll have to, subscribe to get all of it. And patrons can now vote in the Wrestling Omakase year-end awards for the first time, which I get asked that every year by people how they can do that. Usually it's only open for Omakase guests. This year we'll be doing a separate patron choice category, so patrons can vote through January 1st. And again, all you have to do is sign up at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase for $5. Pretty good deal. I know I'm very biased, but pretty good deal. So that's the patron plug. Jeri, before we get into the show, I always like to ask new guests how they got into wrestling in general, how and when, and especially also the topic of the day, which is New Japan here for you. So if you want to go ahead and...
Absolutely. Well, wrestling in general, as best as I can tell, got into it because my dad, who is not a wrestling fan, for some odd reason had a tape of WrestleMania 7, and I watched that. Now, there's a good chance I enjoyed wrestling before WrestleMania 7, but I remember that being the show that really got the ball rolling, if
Which
you
one?
will.
So 7's the Hogan Slaughter?
Hogan Slaughter and Savage Warrior.
Okay.
Although, embarrassing kid moment, the match I watched the most, though, was the blindfold match between Rick Martel and Jake Roberts. As a kid, I just thought it was the most ridiculously amazing thing ever. Two people who can't see trying to fight each other.
Yeah.
9-year-old taste. What can you do?
Yeah.
As for New Japan, I got into it. I don't remember why I checked it out, but I ended up watching Okada's first title defense against Naito.
The 2012 one?
Yeah, the 2012
wow,
one.
that's like one of my favorite matches ever. So I love
that was the very first. Like, I have watched New Japan stuff from like the 90s and their 90s period and stuff like that, but I haven't really caught up with current stuff until I checked that match out. And as lame as this is gonna sound, I watched that match and I just thought, wrestling fan wise, I'm home.
Yeah.
It was just, I just wasn't getting that level from what I was currently watching at the time.
Yeah.
So when I got that, I'm like, I gotta check out more. Well, first of all, I gotta check out more of these two, and then I was like, these two are wrestling for this promotion. I gotta check out more of New Japan.
Yeah, I mean that match. That match was incredible. I mean, just to really, I always tell people if that's before your time, because I'm sure it is for a lot of the New Japan fans right now in the West and stuff. Like, make sure you go back and watch that New Japan World. It's better than the first Tokyo Dome. I actually think it's better than the first 2 Tokyo Dome matches. The only one I'd say is better is the one from this year. So.
I don't disagree with that. I'm going by memory, of course.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. And honest with the significance it has to me as a fan of Okada being one of my favorites and just being a fan of New Japan in general, it has high status with me because it got the ball rolling with keeping up with this.
Right. But yeah, it's a pretty incredible match. So the show we're here to talk about is the World Tag League Best of Super Junior Combined Night 9, Sunday, December 6th at the Fukuoka Convention Center. This show, again, just like the Night 1 they did, which was back, oh God, what the hell was Night 1? I should have looked that up.
So
first.
many.
It's so many nights, I can't remember anymore. I think it was Nagoya, I want to say. Let's see. Yes, IT Perfectional Gym, that's Nagoya. So, Night 1 back on November 15th was also the other combined show. After that, they alternated each night. The Nagoya one, they did the World Tag League as the opener, and then they would alternate matches, and the Best of Super Junior match was the main event. Here they did the opposite, which didn't surprise me. The Best of Super Junior match opened, and they alternated, and the World Tag League match was the main event. I think, based on the two finals, that they're probably going to main event with Best of Super Junior. I just, if you don't want to be spoiled, I don't know why you're listening to this episode, so I can just say it. Hiromu and Desperado, to me, is just a way bigger match than Finjuice and God. So
it's the match I have more interest in, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think very many people would disagree. So I really wouldn't be surprised if Hiromu and Despy don't main event, even though, typically they would put the heavyweights above it, but I don't know. The only other thing I could see is if they do some kind of other match, like, I don't know. I don't even know what it would be at this point, like some other title match or something. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. I haven't looked at ticket sales. Let me see if I could see how these tickets are doing. It seems like a weird thing to check nowadays, when basically we're in the middle of a pandemic, but I'm just curious to see if tickets are moving for this or not. Okay, lost in ticket. Thank you. Killing some dead air here as lost in ticket won't load. Okay, I guess I can't check this because it doesn't want to. It does not want to load.
It's like you're not going to get this information.
Yeah,
sorry.
It won't. It just did not load at all. If people are wondering, by the way, the Wrestle Kingdom tickets went on sale on Saturday, and I tweeted about that the other day. It's following the exact same pattern as last year, where the January 4th ticket sales are like way ahead of the January 5th ticket sales. So, it's just been the January 4th tickets are almost sold out. All they have left is second floor.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously reduced capacity, so.
Yeah, but still, wow.
Yeah, and the January 5th ticket sales have everything available, though. So, like, it looks like it's way behind. So.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. January 4th, that date is pretty much locked in with New Japan lore.
Yeah. And I honestly
that's the date a lot of people are going to go for first.
And I do think Naito Ibushi's a bigger match than the winner of that against Jay White. So
I agree.
So the Budokan tickets seem like they're doing okay. It looks like first floor is sold out. The other two categories are still available. So it's listed as like few available right now. So we'll see if that picks up by the time. The arena seats are available and the second floor stands available. The Royal seats are never on sale, and the general admission they always sell out in the fan club pre-sale. But yeah, so it looks like ticket sales aren't bad, but they're not like sold out or anything yet either. We'll see if the Hiromu Despy match helps move tickets at all, because obviously that wasn't known until today. But in the meantime, here that's the finals on the 11th at the Budokan. The show we're here to talk about, December 6th, was at the Fukuoka Convention Center. As we've been doing throughout the series here, I was going to talk a little bit about Fukuoka. So again, if you've been listening on the Patreon, we've been doing this pretty much every night for any venues or cities other than Cork and Hall, which I think everybody knows, plenty about. We've been talking a little bit about the Japanese geography, and then about like wrestlers who were born in that area and past New Japan shows at that arena. So this arena is called the Fukuoka Convention Center, also the Fukuoka Kokusai Center, which is basically, I think, just Japanese for convention. Or it's like International Event Hall or something, I don't know. But yeah, Fukuoka is the biggest city by far on the island of Kyushu, which is one of the other islands in Japan other than the main island of Honshu. It's to the southwest of the main island. And this city has a population of 1.5, a little more than 1.5 million. The metro area has a population of 2.5 million, which makes it the 5th most populous metro area in Japan. Well behind 4th place, which is Fukuoka, which is 5.5. Fukuoka is 4th place. That's what I should have meant to say. 5.5. That was in the 2015 population census. And then it's well behind 3rd place, which is Nagoya, the Nagoya area. That's 9.3. And then you have the Kansai area, which is Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto. That jumps all the way up to 19 million. And then the Kanto area, which is Tokyo, Yokohama, all that, Saitama, just a gigantic area, Kawasaki, that's 37 million. So obviously well behind 37 million, but still, like 5th place is 2.8 million. So there's still a big jump there. So it's one of the more populous areas of Japan, other than the, I guess, big 3. What else about Fukuoka? They have a very, 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 very successful baseball team. The Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks in the Pacific League. They've won the top baseball league in Japan, which is generally considered to be the best baseball league outside of America. They've won 11 Japan Series championships, and most of those in the last decade. 2011, 2014, 2015, and then 4 in a row, 2017, 18, 19, and 20. So definitely a very successful baseball franchise lately. Anything else about Fukuoka? Not really. I've heard it's a nice city. I've never gone to it. I've never gone further west than Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto. It's one of these places I've always wanted to go to. One of my friends went there last fall, so I guess in one of the last periods where you could do that sort of thing easily. And she found like a surprising amount of like anime stuff, which I was not expecting at all, really. Like, there's a ton of stuff. There's like a whole mall based around like Neon Genesis Evangelion, which was like, oh, did not know they had that kind of stuff in Fukuoka. So definitely a place I want to go to. As far as wrestlers, there's some very famous wrestlers from Fukuoka who are born in Fukuoka, I should say. I mean, the big ones right at the bat to me are Kensuke Sasaki. I think that's a name that anyone who's followed Japanese wrestling would know. And then also his main protege, who's currently in Pro Wrestling Noah, Katsuhiko Nakajima, also born in Fukuoka. And a former rival of Nakajima, who's the top star in All Japan, Kento Miyahara, also born in Fukuoka.
Those are some heavy-hitting names right there.
Some big names, yeah. Another name I think people would know, Miyu Yamashita, the top star of Tokyo Joshi. Maika, who's currently in Stardom, is in Fukuoka. I can't read the whole list of names. It's like, unlike for some other cities, because it's too long. I mean, there's a lot of wrestlers from Fukuoka. If you go out into the prefecture, there's Masanobu Fuji. That's from Kitakyushu in Fukuoka, which is like the second biggest city on the island of Kyushu. Seiji Sakaguchi, another pretty famous older New Japan wrestler, is from another city called Kurume in Fukuoka Prefecture. So a lot of big names here from Fukuoka. Definitely a city that's seen its fair share of wrestlers. As far as past New Japan events, they've been running Fukuoka pretty much since the promotion started. The first show in the prefecture of Fukuoka was in 1972, so the year that the company started. And then the first time they came to Fukuoka City was in 1973 in January, so not that long after it started, for a show on the New Year Buffalo series, which was main evented by Antonio Inoki defeating the Tiger. The Tiger is a bushwhacker. He's Bushwhacker Butch. So
oh my gosh!
Yeah, that is the Tiger. So the Bushwhacker Butch main evented the first ever New Japan show in Fukuoka City. But yeah, they've run the city pretty regularly. The Wrestling Dontaku show, or now it's a 2-night show, but that's been running since, when the hell was the first Wrestling Dontaku? Let's see. It looks like it was 1995 was the first Wrestling Dontaku, and that's become like an annual. Oh no, I'm sorry, I got that completely wrong. It's actually, the first Dontaku was 93, and that was actually in Fukuoka Dome. So that was back when they were running a lot more domes than the Tokyo Dome. And the first Dontaku main event was Antonio Inoki and Tatsumi Fujinami defeating Genichiro Tenryu and Riki Choshu. So that is your first Wrestling Dontaku main event. But yeah, they've run that show annually pretty much since then. Not every year. It looks like they skipped a bunch, and then it became an annual thing again. Wow. Okay, I skipped a lot of years, actually. When did the Dontaku become an... Looks like Dontaku became an annual event again in 2009. So they've been running it every year since 2009. Before that, it was much more, infrequent. But, they're a regular G1 stop, too. They usually get a G1 Climax show every year. They didn't this year. This was the first year they didn't get a G1 show since, let's see... Looks like since 2014. Yeah, so it's the first time they didn't get a G1 show since 2014. But presumably they would have if not for the pandemic. So, I'm sure they'll be back there for the G1 next year. But that's a little bit about Fukuoka. So let's get into the show here, which opened up with a Best of the Super Juniors match. Robbie Eagles defeating Yuya Uemura in 7:30 with the Ron Miller special. Eagles moved up to 4-5, and Uemura falls down to 0-9. Not unexpected there, of course, as a young lion. Go ahead.
Yeah, 0-9, but with Uemura, the wins were never important. It was how he appeared at the end of it all. How he did throughout the whole tournament.
Indeed, yeah. And he really stood out to me, at least in quite a few matches. I mean, the match he had with Sho on the last Best of Super Junior show, I thought was awesome.
Yes.
The match he had with Ishimori, I thought was awesome. Hiromu. I mean, he really had... The only match of his I think wasn't that great was against Bushi. But other than that, I thought he had a really good tournament.
Yes, and going into this match, I thought this was a very good, short, obviously, but very good short match between these two.
I agree.
I really enjoyed this.
It started out very fast and furious. Both guys were going back and forth immediately. Robbie almost got the turbo backpack. Uemura countered into a cross arm breaker, but Eagles was able to make it to the ropes very quickly to break. I would love it if Uemura continues doing that cross arm breaker even once he's no longer a young lion, because first of all, it looks great. He just has a great arm bar. And second of all, we need more arm bars in New Japan. So
I will never say no to more arm bars anyway, honestly.
Yeah.
If he holds on to it, I would be thrilled. And I just love it when we had a lot of. I just love it when people who really need a win, it's just a statement win, feel like they're actually going for the win, and it feels like they know they need to win. And Uemura throughout this whole match just felt like this win was important to him.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
he didn't get it. So when he didn't get it, even though I knew really he probably wouldn't, oh man.
Yeah.
I really wanted you to get that.
The match doesn't really slow down from there either. Yuya counters a Rana attempt straight into a Boston Crab, but Robbie makes the ropes immediately. And then Uemura just kept having these great counters to pretty much everything Robbie tried. At one point, he drop kicked him out of midair when Robbie tried that springboard attack, which great timing there. I mean, it's not always, that kind of thing. I think I've seen it go wrong on this tour, honestly, with if you time it wrong, you just graze the guy with the drop kick, and they timed it perfectly. So,
yeah, I think my favorite, and I'm going by memory here, which isn't always the best in the world, but at one point, going for that suplex, and it gets blocked, so he instead goes for a pin attempt instead.
Yeah, I think I know.
And I bought it. For a second, I bought into it because it was so well done.
Yeah.
It's like, and I just love that. Even when I know deep down someone's not going to win, if they can just for a second convince me completely wrong,
yeah,
I love it. And they convince me for just a moment.
Eagles does eventually overcome all of Yuya's counters, of course, and he puts them away at the Ron Miller special for the win. Really fun sprint. Great way to start the show. I went 3.5 stars on this. I don't know.
We're on alignment there.
Okay, yeah, not all of my guests are star rating people, so I forgot to ask you that. If you don't want to star rate, you don't have to. But if you do want to, I don't.
I'll do some matches on the fly and some I have just jot down.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I'm right there with you at 3.5. This is, as good as I could ask for a 7, slightly over 7 minutes match.
Yeah.
And it set a good tone for the rest of the show.
For sure. Match number 2 in the World Tag League. Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens defeating Evil and Yujiro Takahashi in 3:33. Chase pinning Yujiro with a schoolboy. That brings Fale and Chase up to 3-6 and drops Evil and Yujiro down to 3-6. All 5 of them do the 2 sweet pose, including Dick Togo. Unlike previous all Bullet Club matches, no one immediately tries to attack each other. That was nice. But Yujiro grabs the mic and says, "Hey Chase, Peter's coming right now." And Chase looks at that ramp for what felt like hours. I'm like, did you think she was coming from, I don't know, from the loading docks, buddy? Like, why did you spend that much time? He's like, "Oh, here she comes. Where is she? I don't see her. She must still be coming." And it's like, and then Chase, like, he's looking and looking and looking, and Yujiro rolls him up from behind finally. That was pretty funny. I will give them credit for that.
That was pretty well done. It was probably, for me, the highlight of this match, honestly.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they basically just kept trying to cheat on each other, trick each other. Chase at one point pretended to be hit by Yujiro's pimp stick, but when Togo got up on the apron to use the spoiler's choker, Fale actually grabbed Evil to keep him from distracting the ref. Why more people don't use that kind of tactic, I have no idea. And then Chase sends Yujiro into Dick Togo and then schoolboys him for the pin with his feet on the ropes. This barely counts as a match to me. They didn't really do anything besides try to trick each other. So there's no
trick each other and too sweet each other.
Exactly. I mean, there's no good way to rate this. I probably wouldn't bother if I didn't have these averages I was doing. So I slapped a 2.5 on it, like dead average. Moved on with my life. Didn't feel worth giving them negative marks, but I don't know. There's nothing to give it higher either. So
yeah, I gave them a solid 2 because. I wrote in my notes it was pointless, it was stupid, but it was short. Thumbs up. So,
well, 2 to me is a bad match. So I don't know.
But I'm just saying that if it went longer, I would be going less than 2.
That's fair.
Is what I'm saying by that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving it 2 because I just can't imagine a 8-10-minute match between these two teams really doing anything for me. So I think they went the right route with just going, let's just do some comedy, let's just do some shenanigans, and let's call it a day, huh?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, Chase and Fale, and we'll talk about it, I guess, when I get to the team by team. Chase and Fale are the only team in this tournament that I thought just sucked. I mean, they had a couple matches that were fine, but they had a lot of matches I thought were pretty bad. So,
Yeah. And I admit, I do have a lot of bias against the Evil Yujiro team, but Fale and Chase has definitely had the worst of the performances of the two teams.
Yeah, I thought Evil and Yujiro were fine. I mean, not great, not bad. They started out better for me than they finished, honestly, but I thought they were fine. But I
think that's fair. I think they did pick up, but I think they picked up. I don't think they ever picked up enough where I'm like, okay, you're good.
Yeah. Match number 3 in the Best of Super Juniors, Ryusuke Taguchi defeats Doki in 8:50 with the Dodon. Taguchi is now 4-5, and Doki drops to 2-7. So Doki used his lead pipe on Taguchi's ass before the bell.
Yes.
The Japanese announcer, I don't know if you're watching Japanese or English, but the Japanese announcer was just yelled, "Home run!" Pretty funny. I mean, again, it makes sense because we're here in the fucking Japan Series champions, so there you go.
Yeah. Well, on the English commentary, Chris, and please correct me because I can never say his last name. Is it Charlton?
I think it's Charlton, yeah.
Charlton. He goes, "Steel meets steel."
Oh, okay. That's also pretty good.
And it's funny, a lot of comedy lines in wrestling don't land on me, but when he said that, the chuckle broke out. I'm like, okay, I like that.
Yeah. So Doki kept beating him up on the outside. He sent him crotch first into the post for good measure. The announcers went crazy for Taguchi finally getting his first hip attack after several counters. And then Taguchi followed it up with a nice tope con hilo that got an audible reaction from the crowd, which, the crowd making any noise with their mouths is now like the new standing ovation. So
right.
They go back and forth, trading counters of ankle locks and Italian stretches before Taguchi finally catches him with the Dodon. And I believe that's the first pin he's gotten with it in this entire tournament. I mean, all of his wins I can think of were ankle lock or something with his ass and a sunset flip. So, He teased the Dodon a lot, but I don't think he ever hit it or got a pin with. He hit it on Hiromu, but Hiromu kicked out. So yeah, I don't think he ever hit it and got a pin with it. So, but yeah, this is pretty good. It's really nothing I would say you have to see or anything, but I enjoyed enough while it lasted to go 3 1/4.
I'm right there with you at 3 1/4 actually, because I thought this was it was good. Like you said, you're not going to go out of your way, but if you did watch the show, you're not going to regret having gone through it.
Yeah.
I thought Doki, has been pretty consistently entertaining throughout this tournament.
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, people who still think he's bad are like the folks that just, I don't know, they have a first impression of a wrestler and they're never willing to update it because he's improved so much in the past year.
Yeah, he's someone I had to update on because when I first saw him, I'm like, ugh.
I liked him. I liked him as like an indie sleaze guy when he first started, but like a year and a half later, I think he's just sincerely gotten to be good, like a really good wrestler. So
yeah, he's just someone when his matches are okay, you like it's not like I'm hyped for it, but I'm like, okay, this has a chance of being pretty fun.
Yeah. He's one of these guys where it's like you can see the value of working with a really talented roster for so long. It's just like, I don't know, you improve by osmosis or something.
Yes.
Match number 4 in the World Tag League, the Gorillas of Destiny defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toa Henare. Tama Tonga submitting Hiroshi Tanahashi in 3:55 with a sharpshooter. This result caused my buddy Quinlan to freak the fuck out. He texted me and was like, "Gato's not Woody Booker of the year this year." And I was like, okay. He's like so angry because Tanahashi tapped out here. But yeah, apparently Dave Meltzer was also very mad, so the two of them can go start their own We're Mad About Tanahashi podcast. But yeah, so GOD advanced to the Tag League Finals. Oh, I guess, really, when they won this match, I thought they still had to wait for the more results later. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Oh, I think they just put that here, even if, because I'm looking at the New Japan results page, because Hiromu definitely had to wait, and they put that for Hiromu's too. So yeah, I think they both had to wait for other results later in the night to confirm, based on tiebreakers and stuff. But yeah, they did. They are in the finals, obviously. But yeah, so that match only went 3:55. They attacked Tanahashi and Henare on the rampway while they were making their entrance. For God knows what reason, the referee calls for the bell while they're beating on him in the aisleway before anyone's even in the ring. I'm like, sir, why are you ringing this bell? It's like, if I attack my opponent, like what are the limits here? If I attack them backstage, are you going to ring the bell?
Right.
If I attack them coming in the building, are you going to, what the fuck is the limit here? Go ahead.
I'm just saying, it just felt like the ref's like, okay, I'm just not going to wait for you to get in the ring because who knows how long this is going to take.
Yeah, he's like, we have a lot of matches tonight, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I mentioned their scores, by the way. GOD are 6-3, and Tanahashi and Nari are 1-8. But yes, so Tangaloa puts on Hinari's robe while he's out there and goes, what do you think, to the camera? Well, that was funny. Tangaloa is like the delight of this team at this point. Between his Twitter feed is good, and especially, like, he's just... I mean, I've talked about this repeatedly on the Patreon, especially. Like, he has really surpassed his brother, I think, as far as, like, their in-ring wrestling. Like, he's, like, he's gotten to become, like, a fun, like, big hoss type, and he's doing these German suplexes and stuff that, he would never do in the past. His lariats have gotten really good. And Tama Tonga, meanwhile, continues to be Tama Tonga. So
Tama Tonga has this level that he never tries to go above, and he doesn't go below, just kind of there.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of... I mean, if you were going to ask me to name the most underwhelming members of the roster, he would definitely be on the fucking top of that list. So
right.
But yeah, so Tanahashi ends up having to tap out to the sharpshooter after Tonga hits him in the leg with the kendo stick. I don't know why they did that result. I assume it's something with Tanahashi's story. But man, are they really... They're really, I guess, rubbing that Tanahashi's broken down storyline home at this point. I don't know.
And they really lingered on Tanahashi for a long time after the match too.
Yeah.
Wrapping his leg, getting him to the back.
I mean, I honestly thought we'd have some fucking direction for him for Wrestle Kingdom by the end of this tournament. I have no idea what it is still.
Yeah, so. And the commentary on the English commentary, they were like even going, "What does Tanahashi do for Wrestle Kingdom?" And I'm thinking that's not my fucking job to figure out.
But yeah, as far as quick not a match goes, I thought this was worse than the Bullet Club comedy tag from earlier. That was at least funny. This was just nothing. Just an angle, really. So I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I think I even gave it lower than that. I think I just did 1 3/4, maybe 1.5, because there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
And I was honestly, the only reason I was really looking for this match is I want another Hinari performance.
Yeah, I mean, Hinari's been
and
great.
I really didn't get that.
Yeah.
So, it's like, man, you took the one thing I was looking forward to in this match and just wiped it away.
I mean,
Thank you.
Hinari and Tangaloa could have had fun, like, larrying each other and stuff, and
yes.
we didn't even really get that, so.
We just got, like you said, it was more of an angle, and it's an angle that I can't get into because I don't know what we're going to yet.
Indeed. Okay, they didn't put a time on this match, so that's good. Let me try to find it on Cage Match.
Thanks for making him do more work.
making them do more work, by the way.
Yeah, them. Thank you. I apologize.
It's okay. Let me just find Fukuoka. Where the fuck is it? Okay. So this match was 10 minutes and 30 seconds. There you go. But as far as the oh god. Okay, now my computer's wigging out on me. That's cool. It did not like me opening another tab, apparently.
It's like, how dare you?
Yeah, basically. But I'm doing my best to fix it. So, okay. So this match went, let's see. I just said went 10:30. And so Hiromu won in 10 minutes and 30 seconds with a time bomb 2 to go to 7-2, and Wato dropped to 4-5. But as far as the match itself here goes, I thought this started out really cool. I mean, it started out just kind of like very fast and furious, Definitely one of the cooler opening sequences in the entire thing. Like, Wato went right at him at the bell. He, like, slapped him in the face really hard, which I don't know if, like, I could be reading too much into Hiromu's facial expression. I thought it sincerely stunned him. Like, I thought he was not at all prepared for Master Wato, of all people, to hit him in the face that hard. I thought he was kind of like, really?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, that was definitely the vibe I got when Master Wato did that. But yeah, so he also drop kicked Hiromu out of the ring. He went for his dive, but Hiromu countered. Now, Hiromu went for the sunset flip powerbomb here. I honestly can't tell if he was supposed to hit it here or if Wato just lost his grip and fell, because that was the sloppiest sunset flip powerbomb they've ever done. Like, it didn't seem like Hiromu was ready for him to come down. And rewinding it, I'm almost positive Wato does just lose his grip. But that doesn't mean he was supposed to get hit by it or not. Like, it could, because Hiromu's been doing the spot where he teases getting the sunset flip powerbomb and doesn't get it a lot. So I don't know if he was supposed to hit Wato with it and Wato just fell too soon, or if he wasn't supposed to hit Wato with it at all. And, that was part of the reason why why Wato was so, like, or why Hiromu was so, like, stunned by it, I guess. But
right, because Hiromu definitely had an expression on his face like, okay.
I didn't see that coming. Wato looked like he was fucked up.
Like, if I didn't know better, I would think Wato was just half-assing a spot, like, if I have to, but it just came off awkward.
Yeah.
Is what it ends down to.
I mean, if the spot wasn't supposed to happen, Hiromu covered for it well. He just, like, got up and started tossing him into the railing, and then he gave him the shotgun drop kick into the railing as well. Later on, he pointed Tenzan and did the most over-the-top parody of the Mongolian chop that I've ever seen. Like, it was like a work of art, honestly. Like, he just kept swinging his arms back and forth over and over and over and over again until Wato finally cut him off with an elbow. It was amazing. It's just like, I rewound this like 4 times because I was like, I couldn't stop watching him swing his fucking arms around. But yeah, then Wato's kicks looks quite good in this match. Unfortunately, that wasn't always the case during this tour, but they definitely looked good here. So, the Hiromu also took that like side driver thing that Wato does, which I keep calling it side driver because I have no idea what it's called. But,
Same.
But he took it straight down on his neck, which first of all doesn't surprise me because it's Hiromu Takahashi, but also made that move look way more devastating than it usually does.
It looked really nice, this match.
Yeah,
he hit it. He hit it. I'm like, if I know he doesn't use it as such, but I was like, man, if you hit it like that, I would totally buy that as an end.
Yeah, totally. It would be a finisher for sure. But yeah, Wato just did a good job kicking ass here, which had been a problem in some of his other matches.
Right.
Hiromu starts throwing all his awesome lariats, which he's somehow become like one of the best lariat throwers in all of wrestling. And he just kills Wato, one of them at one point. Murders him. I have to say, I watched this unspoiled, and Wato rolling Hiromu up out of the time bomb was a real heart in my throat near fall as a Hiromu fan, because that was exactly how I would have expected Wato to win this match if he was getting the big upset. And Hiromu kicked out of it at 2.99999. So that was an incredible near fall, because I was like, fuck, they're really doing this bullshit. But then, no, he kicked out. But yeah, then Hiromu simply lifts him up afterward, drops him with the time bomb 2, and that gets the sudden win. This was a lot of fun. I'd say definitely well below Hiromu's other matches in this tournament. Probably his second best, because the only other match I went 3.5 on was Bushi, and I think this was better than the Bushi match. But pretty much every other match of his I thought was, or every other match in this tournament I thought were better than these two. But I can't go any higher than 3.5 given the sunset flip powerbomb botch in a match that only went 10 minutes. But it was a good showing for Wato. Other than that spot, I thought his kicks looked good here. He definitely had a better showing than he's had on a lot of nights. I mean, I just said what it ranks for me for Hiromu. For Wato, this would be his second best match. I mean, I went 3 3/4 on the show match, 3.5 on this, and everything else for him was below 3.5. So, he did not have a great tournament, but at least he closed it strong here, I guess.
Yeah, I'm probably going just slightly below, or 3 1/4. I don't think I bought that roll up as much as you did. And I think that might have been my problem with rating this match higher, is I never got to the point where I really need that, Wato's performance.
You got cut off there for a second. Sorry, you said you never got the point of.
I never got to the point where I felt like Wato had a chance of winning.
Gotcha.
But I felt like his performance was, other than the powerbomb spot, I thought Wato looked good. Like you said, his kicks this tournament have been iffy at times.
Yeah, really iffy sometimes.
Really iffy sometimes. Yeah, I'm being kind of nice. But, there's been times where it's like, sure, go ahead and sell that. But, but he looked good, and I think 3 1/4 it's still at least you ended on a good match.
Indeed. 3 1/4 to me is pretty good. And that's that wouldn't, I'm not surprised by that rating for here. I thought it was a little bit higher than pretty good. So 3.5. So at this point, Hiromu got to 14 points. He needed help in the next 2 matches to make the final. He either needed Ishimori to beat Sho, since Hiromu beat Ishimori, but Sho beat Hiromu, or he needed Bushi to beat Desperado if Ishimori lost to Sho, since Desperado also beat Hiromu. So basically, he couldn't have Desperado and Sho as the other 2 guys with 14 points because they both beat him. Before the intermission, we get the official announcement of Wrestling Dontaku 2021, which is going to be back in Fukuoka next year, May 3rd and May 4th. It's a very normal stop in New Japan's year that we missed in 2020 due to the COVID shutdown. So that does confirm that New Japan is planning on running I would say, relatively normal year next year. I'd expect, New Japan Cup back in March and stuff. The big question, I guess, will be whether or not they move the G1 to the fall for a second straight year, with the Olympics now rescheduled for summer 2021. I assume we'll maybe hear something about that, maybe at the Tokyo Dome, but
Yeah, everything is just so thrown off still.
Yeah.
And while next year is going to still be a regular year, there's going to probably still be not a full regular year, but at some point a regular year. There's still going to be a lot of juggling going around.
Indeed. I hope, Dontaku to me could be I don't know, it depends on how fast they vaccinate people in Japan. Maybe Dontaku could be a show where there's cheering allowed. To me, that's the earliest where they might lift the no cheering restrictions. I would assume June or July is more likely. Yeah. But
yeah, for me, that's the change of the change of mood atmosphere signal once that's
yeah. I do think some people have underestimated how much of an effect that had, and I do think you'll see a little less negativity on New Japan whenever the crowds go back to normal. The sixth match here, the Great Okan and Jeff Cobb defeating the team of Shingo and Sonata. Jeff Cobb pinning Shingo in 11:46 with the Tour of the Islands. So the Empire team finishes at 5-4, and LIJ also finished at 5-4. Cobb and Okan attacked to start. They dominated early, no pun intended. Cobb especially tossed Shingo around in a way very few people typically toss him around in New Japan. Sonata made a very Sonata comeback. He tied Okan in a Paradise Lock, and then he hit a plancha on Cobb. I was like, wow, that's Sonata in a nutshell right there. Presumably all the people who insist that Sonata isn't that over in Japan, against all evidence, have their TVs on mute and can't hear the crowd clapping as loud as they have all night while he encouraged them, because, again, Sonata is very popular, no matter if none of you, the listener, like that or not.
For me, I'm very hot and cold with Sonata, but I can't deny, even with my personal hot and coldness, that they want more of him always.
He is a star. They love them some Sonata. This match is really good, all action, basically a constant sprint. Okan takes out Sonata with the claw slam. Shingo nails him with the pumping bomber. Cobb and Shingo go head to head with elbows. Cobb hits Shingo with this awesome rebound German.
It's so good.
That rebound German was awesome, yeah. And then Okan returns, hits Shingo with this great scissors kick, wipes him out. And then, as he's done for, I think, every one of their team's wins, he tosses Shingo into Cobb for the Tour of the Islands, and they get the upset pin, which eliminates the LIJ team from making the finals. I thought this was a blast, a lot of fun. As far as the tag team sprint goes, I went 3 3/4. I really like this. I don't know what your rating was, but
we're on the same boat. I put 3 3/4 as well. Yeah. This was a blast.
Yeah,
it was just an absolute blast, and and we get an ending where we now get direction for Shingo and Cobb.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Cobb getting all the pins on this tour and not taking any of the losses makes a lot of sense now if he's going to be Shingo's next Never challenger. David Finlay did pin Shingo too, but I think he'll be busy with the tag titles. So,
right.
But yeah, Cobb and Shingo. That sounds great to me. Honestly, I like Cobb a lot more in New Japan since he's turned and joined the Empire. So
Cobb's been a lot of fun in the Empire. He just he's his attitude lately just fits.
Yeah.
And I was all on board when I was all on board. In fact, going to this match, I'm going to admit I was thinking I really hope Cobb pins Shingo. That was my hope for this match, and I got it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And
I always forget he's been Never champion already, because he pinned. He won the title of the show. It was at when he beat Ospreay in that title for title match, but he held it so short, for such a short amount of time. But yeah, he lost it to Taichi pretty quickly, so I always forget that he was champion already. But there you go. Our next match, Taiji Ishimori defeating Sho in 12-10 with the Bloody Cross. So Ishimori goes to 7-2, Sho goes to 6-3, and Sho is eliminated. So Sho starts fast, hitting his dropkick to Ishimori that sends him from the apron to the floor. But when he goes for his normal follow-up, the soccer ball kick from the apron, Ishimori catches his leg and just throws him down the apron pretty hard instead. They fight up there where Sho almost gets a German suplex, but Ishimori lands on his knees, and then he hits a hard hanging kick using the top rope, and then a sick apron pile driver.
Oh man, I yelled "oh shit" when he hit that.
It was an oh shit moment. It was great.
Yeah. I can be, when I get really into a wrestling match, I can get very verbal in my apartment, and when they hit that, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. It was quite the start. Quite the start of the match. Ishimori gets the yes lock back in the ring, trying to end this quickly, but Sho gets his foot on the bottom rope to force the break. And then Ishimori, he hits this crazy sunset flip powerbomb at one point. It's as fast as I've ever seen anyone hit that move. It almost made it look more like a Canadian destroyer. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty boss. Both men were just on fire this match.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Ishimori, not that he personally cares or anything, but it almost felt like so many of us lately have been questioning his abilities. Like, okay, I'll show you.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's how he always is. He's like, well, sometimes I'll be great. When I feel like being great, I'll be great. When I don't feel like being great, I'm not going to be great. He's very...
Fortunately, in this match, he felt like being great.
Indeed. So Sho no-sells that sunset flip powerbomb, hits a big rebound German. It leaves both guys down. And then they counter each other's finishers a few times. Sho finally hits the cross-armed power driver. But when he goes for the shock arrow, Ishimori gets this like brilliant counter. He gets a front guillotine. He then flips behind Sho, hits an inverted bloody cross. That's the first time I can ever remember him hitting that. And then he follows up with the real bloody cross, and that gets a very surprising pin. I mean, I was shocked here. I thought they were going to do here was, and I talked about this on the Patreon yesterday when I laid out what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to have Sho beat Ishimori, and then we would go to that Bushi Desperado match with Bushi needing to beat Desperado to send his teammate Hiromu onto the finals. And instead, what they did was, Ishimori beating Sho eliminated Sho and sent Hiromu to the finals. Because now Hiromu, if what ended up happening did happen, Hiromu, Ishimori, and Desperado all tied with 14 points. Hiromu and Despi both beat Ishimori, so those two will be the finalists. So this win, Ishimori beating Sho, eliminated Hiromu, kept Ishimori alive. Ishimori would have needed Desperado to lose to Bushi, so now Ishimori was the guy rooting for Bushi. So that was not what I expected to happen, but that's what they did. So
I seriously thought as we got further into this match that this was going to be a big Sho win.
Yeah, but did not end up happening.
Sometimes you don't get it.
Yeah, so I guess they're saving the Hiromu Sho rematch for another day, so maybe after the Tokyo Dome. But there you go. It's Ishimori who needs Bushi to win, obviously, which did not happen. As far as the match itself goes, I thought this was a pretty awesome, sprint match here. Definitely the match of the night to this point. I think another match probably topped it later. But this was all action right from the start. Another great sprint on a show full of them. And the closing stretch built really well with all the finisher counters before Ishimori finally had something Sho wasn't prepared for, the inverted bloody cross. So I went 4 stars flat in this. I thought it was awesome.
I actually went a little higher because the closing stretch just bumped it up for me. So I gave it 4 1/4.
Well, there you go.
It's just that, we're talking about that closing stretch. When that closing stretch hit and just biting on Sho, having the possibility of winning, I was just drawn in.
Yeah.
And this is just, once again, never sleep on short matches.
Mm-hmm.
This was what 12 was it 12 minutes or something?
This was let me say, this was 12:10.
12:10. Barely over 12, and they just went straight at it.
Yeah,
used every minute and made it count.
I will say there are some people on the Gravel app that will not give a match under 15 minutes like more than, I don't know, a lot of them 3 1/4. It feels like maybe 3 1/2, and it's like, I don't know, guys. I don't really get it sometimes.
I think I've just been blessed with seeing my share of excellent short matches where it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love me my long epics, but every now and then, just fantastic 12-minute sprint.
Yeah,
perfect.
Match number 8, back to the World Tag League. The team of the Dangerous Tekkers, Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., defeating the team of Ishii and Yano. Taichi pinning Ishii with the Zack Mephisto. So Dangerous Tekkers are now 6-3, and Ishii and Yano are now 5-4. Speaking of excellent short matches, this was awesome. Yano immediately hits Ishii with the turnbuckle pad by accident, which leads Zack to nearly roll him up for the pin. That was fast and funny. He tries to get the octopus hold, but Yano throws him off. Ishii nails Zack with an elbow from the outside of nowhere, and then Yano basically trips him up into the ropes, when Yano trips up at the ropes, I should say. And then Yano nearly rolls him up out of that for a 2 count. Really fun sequence. And there's more stuff going on with all 4 of these guys than I could possibly recap. They're just going nonstop. We get this other close near fall where Zack spins Yano into a lariat from Ishii when they're both fighting over a backslide, and then backslides him, which that was awesome. You sound like you wanted to say something. So sorry,
I had to cut out for a moment also.
Oh, it's okay.
I apologize. I just wanted to get back to the opening sequence real quick. The great thing with sequence got me into this match immediately. Like, just pin attempt after pin attempt is how we started this match pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was just, this was great.
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. Yano tries to wrap Zack up in the apron, but Zack counters and does it to him instead. Nearly gets him counted out. Later on, Taichi pulls out the pants. They go for the holy Zack driver, but Yano runs in out of nowhere and sends them both into the exposed turnbuckle to break that up. And then he holds them for a double lariat from Ishii. We got an awesome belly-to-belly from Yano and Taichi. It's almost like a cross between his usual side belly-to-belly and an overhead belly-to-belly. And then Ishii goes to work on him after that and, hits a big lariat for a 2 count. Ishii goes for the brainbuster. Zack runs in out of nowhere, and they go for the holy Zack driver on Ishii. Yano comes in from behind, tries for a low blow. Zack blocks it with his legs, which you'd think after so many times Yano would stop trying to low blow Zack. I don't think he's ever been successful. But I don't know. Can you think of a time where he has?
I don't know if I can, but even if he has been successful, Zack has learned. Zack is like, no. And like, Zack makes him pay.
You will not touch my penis, sir. That's basically
it. And Zack makes Yano pay for it, too.
He does. Taichi takes Ishii out with a high kick. They give him the holy Zack driver, just so we get the 10-minute call. I love the holy Zack driver. I might like it more than the Zack Mephisto, even. And then it just has such a great name, too. It's like...
I agree. And it always looks... And it usually looks good. Yeah. I like that.
I mean, they're both awesome, both those tag finishers, but I think I like the holy Zack driver slightly better. They take care of Yano, and they give Ishii the Zack Mephisto for good measure, and Taichi covers Ishii for the pin. This was they're so happy afterwards. They embrace on the mat after beating their opponents 100% cleanly. They did not cheat once in this entire match. I have no idea how they're supposed to be heels at this point. They're the most likable wrestlers in the promotion. They're just two buddies who love and support each other and are just an amazing tag team. It's what makes them heelers exactly?
They're my top tag team right now. I just love them so much.
Well, they're running away. They're running away in the Omakase Awards, the patron one especially.
Well, they deserve. Singles. They're I really enjoy them as singles, but as a tag team, it's just fantastic chemistry.
Yeah.
Everything clicked. They just good to great match after good to great match, and this is no exception.
I guess Zack did kick at Ishii and Yano afterward, which is not too nice, but I'll let them get away with it. They're still baby faces in my heart, so chaotic neutral at worst, really.
I've seen baby faces do worse.
It's true. I mean, I've argued before that I do think the Empire coming in makes the alignment chart in New Japan a little more complicated. I do think they are, if you look at left is pure babyface and right is pure heel, I do think they're going to be to the left of the Empire. So, make Suzuki-gun the new true neutral unit maybe.
Right.
But this was another awesome sprint on a show full of them. I'm probably high on this one compared to most people because I love the Tekkers and I like the Ishii Yano team. It's an easy 4 stars for me. I had a blast with it from the opening bell. And if you like the tornado tag style match, I think you'll love this one too. So,
the last match I told you had the closing stretch put it over the top for me. In this match, it was the opening stretch that put it over the top for me because I landed right on full well actually.
Oh, there you go. I thought I'd be much higher.
This was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Yano, I am very biased against Yano. I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those no fun people, I guess. But he really did a lot in this match that really did it for me.
Well, I made this argument before on the Patreon. He might be the only wrestler I can think of that worked harder in the World Tag League than G1. Because he
worked his butt off.
Yeah, he took more bumps than usual. He tried to keep up with Ishii a little more than you often see with this team. Yeah. I mean, he did more real wrestling than he normally does. He did that belly to belly 100 times. Well, he normally does it once in a G1. So
yeah, and I'm willing to put my personal bias aside and just give Yano his due. He was good.
He was really good in this tournament, I think. Yeah. So now the Tekkers need to root for Goto and Yoshihashi to win the main event. That's what they needed because they lost to both God and Finjuice, but they beat Goto and Yoshihashi. So if Goto and Yoshihashi had beat Finjuice, it would have been a God Tekkers final. But of course, that did not happen. The semi-main event was the final Best of Super Junior match. El Desperado beating Bushi in 12:53 with the numero dos. That's the stretch muffler. So Desperado goes to 7-2. Bushi goes to 4-5. That eliminates Taiji Ishimori and it makes your Best of Super Junior final Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado, which that match at the Budokan, boy, can I not wait for that.
I'm excited.
And it makes, I mean, honestly, it makes all of the, I know people have hated on New Japan's booking a lot this year. Some of it's very deserved. I mean, the Double Dome booking, I personally think that's worse than the Evil thing. It seems like the fans in Japan agree. I know, going on kind of a side tangent here, but our Voice of Wrestling contributor, Griffin, he had pointed out in the Slack the other day that the New Japan Twitter account lost something like, I think, 256 followers. The Japanese account lost the week of Power Struggle, which I believe it after seeing the backlash on Japanese social media. I mean,
wow.
For as much as people were angry in the West about Evil, I did not see as much backlash about that. There was a little bit of backlash on Japanese social media for the last Evil Naito match being announced for Power Struggle. Like, the Japanese fans didn't seem to like that either. But the Japanese fans were mad because it wasn't Sonata, which you don't see that take a lot in Western New Japan Twitter. But the Japanese fans were like, well, Sonata beat Naito too, so why aren't we getting Sonata Naito instead of a fourth Evil Naito match? But other than that, they weren't nearly as negative on the Evil thing. On this, though, I think, if anything, they were more negative in the Western Twitter. They were like really mad that Jay beat Ibushi like that, with the feet on the ropes thing. And they were even madder that Jay White gets his title shot on 1-5 and gets to wait for the winner of Naito Ibushi. Because, I think, first of all, they think that this gives away that Ibushi's going to win. So the Naito fans were mad. The Ibushi fans don't really like it either. They think it should be... The Ibushi fans seem to think it should have been Ibushi White and the winner gets Naito. So, I don't know. That seemed to be what the complaint was. So people seem pretty angry.
Just a lot of unhappiness over everything about this.
Yeah. So there have been some issues with the booking this year. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is the booking with Hiromu and Desperado has been fucking awesome. I mean, people were like, well, why is Hiromu losing all these tag matches to Desperado when they lost that, the Junior Tag League final and then the Junior Tag title rematch? And it's like, it was to set this up. Because now he loses to Desperado again during the Best of Super Junior, so he's gone, basically 0-3 against him, and he's lost far more to Desperado than he's won. I mean, they go all the way back to their Young Lion days, and Hiromu's only won a couple times against him. Once his Young Lions compared to something like 15 wins for Desperado. And, Hiromu retained the junior title against him back in 2018 when Desperado beat him in the Best of Super Junior. But other than that, Desperado's kind of owned him. So It's all setting up a Best of Super Junior final with these two, generational rivals, came up together as Young Lions, had very similar paths going to Mexico, and now they're going to meet at the Nippon Budokan in the Best of Super Junior final. That's awesome.
I can just tell how excited you are for this.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think it's, it's one of these things where I think, you should give New Japan their due, because they've gotten a lot of shit this year. A lot of it deserved, but here, I mean, I think the booking of Hiromu and Despi has been pretty much perfect. So
it's a case where they've planted a lot of seeds and just took their sweet ass time watering it so it can grow.
Like no one could have guessed when those two junior tag losses happened that it was going to lead, I think, to a Best of Super Junior final. So, especially the first one. So I think it definitely did work out. As far as the match here, Bushi seemed a little more fired up than usual for this tour, which I guess makes sense since he's in the last tournament match here.
I wrote in my notes, Desperado Bushi semi-main event finals. What a choice!
Yeah, it was a choice. He hits Desperado with his big DDT on the apron. He followed that up with 2 straight topes to the floor. Both are pretty nice. And Bushi also gets points for being perhaps the first person who's ever watched tape on a Desperado match before, because he was actually ready for the spot where Despy threw him into the ref and then went for the big punch. Which is I don't know how he always gets everybody with that, but Bushi turns around and countered immediately with an enziguri, so that was cool.
Drunk his big brain juice.
Indeed. Bushi, though, does eventually submit to the stretch muffler, gives Desperado the win, and there you go. I thought this was good. I mean, it was a little below some of the other matches on this show for me. I went 3.5, but I'd probably be the weakest 3.5 star match. I mean, the way they structured this felt a little anticlimactic to me because it's like once Ishimori beat Sho, I had almost no doubt that Desperado was winning here and giving us a Hiromu Desperado final. Hiromu Ishimori just made no sense as a final because A, Hiromu already beat him in the Best of Super Junior, and B, they're probably going to have that match again at the Tokyo Dome. So it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but
I went slightly lower, 3.25.
Yeah.
I never hit because, like you said, I was so confident Desperado was winning that I never bought into Bushi victory moments. Which, if Bushi had won, probably would have actually bumped this up because I would have been off guard.
Yeah.
As weird as that may sound, but
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think being the semi-main of the evening, Bushi worked, as hard as Bushi does work.
Yeah.
I admit sometimes I think in my reviews I cut Bushi more slack than others, but I'm like in no doubt that he's not. That there's a ceiling with Bushi.
Yeah.
And he never really cracks it.
I mean, I think so. I don't know. I thought this tour was like worse than his last few Best of Super Juniors. I don't know. He didn't seem like he was trying that hard. But
yeah, like I said, there's just this ceiling, and not only does he rarely crack it, but it doesn't seem like he's often trying to crack it. It's like this is where I'm at, and I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah, that's fair. The main event of the evening, the World Tag League, FinJuice defeat Goto and Yoshihashi. Juice pinning Goto in 15:50 with the Pulp Friction. So that win puts FinJuice at 6-3 and drops Goto and Yoshi to 5-4. And that also means that the finals are FinJuice and God, since all three of those teams, along with the Tekkers, have 12 points, but FinJuice and God both beat the Tekkers. So that is your World Tag League final. Definitely not as exciting, as we said earlier, as the Best of Super Junior final, but we'll have to wait and see what kind of match they can produce there.
I like half of the tag team finals.
Exactly. Well, I would say even 3/4. It's really Tama's the only one I fucking can't stand.
Yeah, that's fair, but I'm just gonna go with half for now. But maybe when I watch that main event and three of them put into work and then Tama just like, yeah, that's great. I'll be like, nope, 3/4 is correct. They were absolutely right on this.
Yeah. This is another match that starts out with all action. Both teams just going back and forth like crazy for the first 10 minutes. FinJuice ends up working over Yoshihashi for a while. Yoshi does make his own comeback just for the 10-minute spot, or 10-minute mark. He tosses Juice into Finley in the corner with an arm drag, a pretty great looking spot. Goto and Yoshi then hit a brutal looking GYR on Finley. I still don't understand why that's the setup move and the GYW is the tag finisher.
Because it's so vicious.
Yeah, and it's the reverse for Goto by himself. I mean, the GTR is the finisher and the GTW is the setup. So why, when they do it together, is the GYR the setup and the GYW the finisher? The GYR looks fucking more painful than the GTR, I think. So
I'm right there with you. It's just like, oh gosh.
It's like slamming this guy down to his knee. Jeez. They eventually do hit the GYW on Juice. That could have been the finish, but Finley flies in out of nowhere to make a last-minute save. Finley gives Goto a superplex that results in one of the bigger bounces I think I've ever seen. Goto's not a small man, and he hits the mat and just fucking bounces straight up. And then Juice comes flying out of nowhere, flying from off screen with a top rope splash.
This tag team move was awesome.
Yeah, a top rope splash for a close 2 count. Great sequence.
I love this. That was probably my favorite sequence in the whole show, just because of how amazing it looked, from the suplex to the jump.
Yeah,
and I would love that as a finishing sequence, honestly, because it just looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it was awesome. Finley gets shoved off the top rope. Looks like he landed really hard in the railing. The camera did catch his landing, and I was like, wow, that looked like it sucked. Juice tries to give Yoshi the Pulp Friction anyway, but then he gets super kicked by Yoshi right into the Goto Nishiki, that roll up he does. Very close near fall. Helps that Goto has pinned people with this on this tour, I think. It gets an audible crowd reaction. We get the 15-minute call as Juice counters the Shoten Kai by pushing Goto into a stunner from Finley, and then Juice hits Goto with the Pulp Friction for the pin. So always surprising to see Goto get pinned when Yoshi is there, but And yeah, then God jumped them right after the match, of course. Like, Juice gets the mic and just yells, Fukuoka! And then he immediately gets jumped. And Tama gives him the gunstone, and Tonga beats Finley down. But yeah, this was an awesome way to end a very good World Tag League. 4 stars from me. All action for 15 straight minutes. 2 great teams here. So I enjoyed this a ton.
This was a great main event. I'm right there with you at 4 stars. Just like all action, all 4 worked hard. I was actually the most looking forward to on the show and delivered for me.
Yeah.
Both of these teams were teams I think in my preview I gave one a likely chance and one a I forgot what the terms, but like I didn't say they would do it, but I wouldn't be surprised either. Chance.
Yeah.
I thought highly of both of these teams going in, and I wrote a whole article on Yoshihashi months ago and give him respect. So needless to say, I've been all on board with the team. This was just a great match. They, and I never even got settled in to listen to Juice because I knew what was about to happen. It's like they're coming. So like I never even waited to hear what Juice was getting ready to say. It's like any moment now.
Yeah.
There's God.
So overall, I thought this was a really pretty damn great show. The big surprise for me was the World Tag League. I think had a better night than BOSJ. BOSJ seemed to peak on nights 7 and 8, which were awesome standalone shows. I had my 2 favorite matches of the tournament with Hiromu against Sho and Taguchi. But, the World Tag League here, I thought outshined them on the last night, which was surprising. Both tournaments were damn good, though, overall. The BOSJ had more high-end matches overall, too. But, I thought the Tag League really, put up a surprising showing here. I mean, really, not just on this show, but the whole tour. I thought they... I was worried when they announced this tour that the Tag League was going to, get outshined to such a degree that would look stupid. But I thought the Tag League was a lot of fun, so...
I thought a lot of these teams came to wrestle and came to, put on a good tournament.
Yeah.
And, obviously there were standouts and not in the best way on both tournaments. But as far as the World Tag League is concerned, I thought everyone for the most part worked hard, and we good as a tournament as I think as we could have ended up with the World Tag League. And I mean that in a very positive and not a backhanded way.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the World Tag League, and I knew I was going to watch the real Tag League because I can't stop myself from watching more wrestling. But I wasn't expecting to enjoy it. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I'll review a few shows, and then probably wonder why I spent a month doing that. But no, I legitimately enjoyed this tournament, and I'm hoping it can end on a high note.
Yeah.
I feel like this tournament deserves a high note.
I mean, when I first, came up with the idea of doing the 3 on the Patreon, I was definitely worried about the World Tag League. But it really hasn't been a problem. The problem's been the D-Ou, as we'll talk about, unfortunately. But, yeah, I mean, the other 2 tournaments have been great here. The final standings here. The Best of Super Junior. El Desperado finishes first, 7-2, 14 points. He has a tiebreak on Hiromu, who finishes second, also 7-2, 14 points. Ishimori finishes third, 6-3. And then Sho 6-3 as well, but Ishimori beat him, obviously. Wato and Bushi, I don't remember. Oh, we got a 4-way tie anyway. So Wato, Bushi, Taguchi, and Eagles, all 4-5 for 8 points. And then Doki 2-7 for 4 points. Uemura 0-9. Your World Tag League standings, we have Finjuice in first, 6-3, because they did beat God. 6-3 with 12 points. God second, 6-3. Dangerous Tekkers in third, also 6-3, but lost to both teams. Then you got another big tie here, Ishii and Yano, Sanada Shingo, Godo and Yoshihashi, and Okan and Cobb, all 5-4, all finished with a winning record. Then Evil and Yujiro, then Fale and Chase, 3-6, and then Evil and Yujiro, because they lost to Fale and Chase here, both 3-6. And then last place, but first place in our hearts, I think, Tanahashi and Inare, 1-8.
You're winners to me. You're winners to me. Which obviously means more than winning the Tag League, of course.
Indeed. The last thing I'm going to do here is give my final average star ratings for both leagues, which we'll see. If you want to jump in and say, basically, if you agree with any of these ratings or you think somebody should be higher or lower, let me know. Right. I disagree with my own rating here, one of them. So, 10th place, I have Master Wato in Super Junior, 3.08. Wato tried. That's the nicest thing I can say.
Congratulations on making it over the 3-star mark, though.
Yeah, he did get over 3. I mean, he had a really good match at show, 3 3/4. That really helped him. The Hiromu match, 3.5. And then a lot of stuff that was like fine or pretty good, but some stuff that was not good at all, which was Doki and Taguchi and Bushi. But he tried. He wasn't awful all the time. He wasn't too bad, I guess. Like I said, 3.08 is not awful. Just really, I was hoping to see more from him. I will be honest, but And I think we're really at the point where we start seeing more from him. Yeah, he's really, the kicks can look killer on one night and then look bad on another night, and that dive he does, that spinning dive, some nights he'll hit it great, and other nights it looks like he overshoots the guy and almost kills himself. He does he has a tendency to botch little moves that other guys in New Japan don't have a tendency to botch. But again, I don't think he's been bad. I mean, there's still something there, and the crowd seems to like him, to a certain degree. But I don't know. I mean, people seem to act like the big problem with him is the gimmick. I don't think it's the gimmick or the look or anything. I think he just needs to get better at just not fucking up basic moves sometimes, or not having awkward spots, and not he just has a tendency to mess up. And I don't know what blue hair would have to do with that, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Looks just a completely different argument.
Yeah.
If you don't like the look, you don't like the look. But wrestling can at times overcome the look. The wrestling, though, is just not there at the moment.
9th place, Bushi, 3.17. He didn't try that hard. I mean, that's what it comes down to Bushi. He had a lot of perfectly fine matches, a lot of pretty good matches. Really didn't peak that high for me, other than the match with Doki. I went 3 3/4 on. That was his highest rated match. The only match of his I thought were not good were the Wato match and the Uemura match. But the rest of it was fine, pretty good. A couple good matches with Desperado and Hiromu. But the Hiromu one was really disappointing to me. I really thought that would be higher than 3.5. So, he was fine. Again, another one. 3.17 to me almost looks higher than it should be. But he was fine.
Is this the one you disagree with?
No, it's coming up next.
Okay. Yeah, Bushi gets a participation award. He showed up, he put in his time, and then he left. That's how it goes for me.
Yeah. 8th place, Doki, 3.42. This is the one I really disagree with. Because it's poor Doki gets dragged down by the fact that I thought he and Ishimori had a pretty bad match, and I don't know if Ishimori just wasn't trying that day or what. And then he and Wato had a not a good match either. So poor Doki's average gets dragged down. But I thought Doki was great. I mean, if I was going to go off the top of my head and name my top 4 wrestlers, he would probably come in 4th. So to have him down here in 8th is a little painful. But as someone pointed out to me on Twitter, from 8th to 4th there's very little difference. There's a big gap from 9 to 8, and there's very little difference in my scores from 8 to 4, and another big gap from 4 to 3. So he easily could have finished 4th. He just finished 8th. So what are you going to do?
I think with Doki, the key is all his good outweighed the bad that wasn't his fault.
Indeed. 7th place, a tie with Yuya Uemura and Ryusuke Taguchi, both at 3.47. Uemura was awesome. I mean, he just had tons of great matches in this tournament. Taguchi, I didn't think Taguchi was as bad as some people were saying throughout the tournament, but then he really wasn't peaking high for me either. But that match with Hiromu was fucking awesome. I mean, I went 4.5 stars on it, so that really brings his average way up. And, overall, I didn't love his tournament. I didn't hate his tournament like some people did either. But, I mean, when you have the best match in the entire tournament, like I thought he did with Hiromu, that's going to help your score a lot, obviously. So, there you go.
And his match with Hiromu was great. So, I was one of those who was not that big on Taguchi throughout, but when he had a good match, he had a good match. And the Hiromu match was, like we just said, great. I didn't like it as much as you, but I still loved it.
Yeah. 5th place, Taiji Ishimori, 3.53. Another guy that has a tendency to show up some nights and not other nights, but I thought he showed up more than he did, honestly. The only match of his I didn't like at all was the Doki match, which he really did not show up for at all. But I thought everything else was either pretty. He had a bunch of 3 1/4 star stuff, Wato, Taguchi, and Bushi, and then three matches for me at 4 stars. Uemura, I love that match. Sho, I love that match. Desperado, I love that match. And then a 4 1/4 star match for the Hiromu. 3 3/4 for Eagles, almost 4. So I thought Ishimori had a great tournament.
Yeah, Ishimori had a good tournament. I really don't. Ishimori's one. I feel bad because Ishimori's one of those guys I don't have much to say about because it's like, yeah, he had a good tournament. He had some great matches. There's not much more to add to that.
Yeah. Robbie Eagles in 4th at 3.58. Again, just a ton of great matches. Really nothing bad at all. His Hiromu match was the best match of the tournament. He had a bunch of 3 3/4 star stuff with Sho, Ishimori, Desperado, and like I said, 4 1/4 with Hiromu. Just nothing below 3 1/4. Great tournament for Eagles.
Both. Eagles is one of those wrestlers I always feel bad about because I'll see him in real life and know he's great. I instantly recognize he's great, but then I don't see a while and I kind of forget. And he appears in this tournament and it's like, oh no. Eagles is freaking fantastic. And he had a fantastic tournament. His match with Hiromu was my personal favorite. I just sunk into the match, and I think part of it was because I was rooting for Eagles so hard. I just want Eagles to get this big win that I knew deep down he wasn't going to get, but that didn't stop me from rooting for it, and he made me buy it a few times.
Yeah,
and I loved that match. It was just a great match for Eagles, and I really just want to see more Eagles because this was just a fantastic favorite performer in this tournament. With the exception of one man who's coming up soon.
3rd place, El Desperado, 3.78. Actually, I would flip 3rd and 2nd here if I was doing off the top of my head, but this is where Desperado landed. Just a ton of awesome stuff here. Doki, 4 stars. Ishimori, 4 stars. Sho, 4 stars. Hiromu, 4 1/4. Taguchi, 3 3/4. Eagles, 3 3/4. Just nothing below. Only one match at 3 1/4. Couple of 3.5. Just awesome stuff from Desperado. Just a guy that was just fucking. I mean, he deserves his spot in the final. He was awesome all tournament. So,
yeah, it's a minor disagreement. Desperado and Eagles would probably be switched on my personal list, but that doesn't take away from Desperado having a great tournament because he really did. And I think people keep sleeping on him. Need to wake up because he is just putting in great work.
And then Sho in 2nd place at 3.86. I thought Sho was the biggest revelation this whole tournament. I mean. He's a guy that I've always liked but never loved, and I thought he just took a big step in this tournament. I mean, what New Japan is lacking is people who wrestle like he does right now. I mean, they need more guys who are going to go out there and do submissions. We're going to go out there and mat wrestle. We're going to go out there and, do stuff that looks, like snug and realistic and good. Doesn't involve guys with rope wires or anything. Just great wrestling. That's what he brought here. I mean, there's only one match at 3 1/4 with Bushi. A ton of stuff at 3 3/4. Wato, Taguchi, Eagles, Doki, and then 4-star matches with Ishimori and Desperado. And then the match with Hiromu that I absolutely loved and went 4.5 on. So, I mean, I think that's going to be a junior feud, a junior rivalry to go way into the future. So, Sho and Hiromu, that was the second best match of the entire tournament. Definitely helped Sho's rating here at 3.86. But, I thought he just had an outstanding tournament.
Sho had a great tournament. And I will never say no to more submission wrestling ever. I'm captivated by submission wrestling, especially when it's done well. And Sho can do it well. Sho just does, like you said, he can just do the mat. He does the submissions. He can mix it up. Sometimes he stands on a roster of people who are always trying to do moves that stands out. He just stands out from doing great wrestling.
Yeah. And
I agree with you. I think we need more. I think we need more of that. I'm sorry his tag team partner got injured and has to be out for a while, but I really think it's helped Sho.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see what Yo does when he comes back too, but I think they should stay as singles guys at this point. Number 1, obviously, Hiromu Takahashi with a 4.08. The lowest rated match I had was this match he had with Wato at 3.5, and the Bushi one 3.5. After that, Uemura 3 3/4, and then everything else 4 1/4 or better. Doki 4 1/4, Desperado 4 1/4, Ishimori 4 1/4, Eagles 4 1/4, Sho 4.5, Taguchi 4.5. He just had an amazing tournament. I mean, I think he put together like he basically just padded his resume here to the point where I just cannot see voting against him for most outstanding wrestler. I mean, that's where I am with Hiromu at this point. I think he just had an amazing tournament that put him over the top here for the best wrestler in the world in 2020.
If anyone has an argument against him being number one in Best of Super Junior, I'll listen, but I will not agree by any stretch.
Yeah.
Because there's just no competition. The gap between 1 and 2 to me is not like large, but it's solid. You know, like there's just no question to me. He got number one. He has my favorite match in the tournament. He has my second favorite match in the tournament. If I went down the list, he probably has my third. You know,
he had my top 6, I think.
Yeah, it's just he was, like you said, he was outstanding. He was, you know, this is a cliche, but I got to say, he was on another level.
Yeah.
Just awesome, and I have no qualms of him winning outstanding wrestler because
it's him for me. It's either him or Kiyomiya Kiyomiya in Pro Wrestling Noah, Kaito Kiyomiya.
And I need to watch more Noah before I can make that, you know, back and forth argument. But he just had a great tournament, and I have no doubt he is going to go in there with Desperado. And Desperado, too. I don't want to, you know, sell him short. I have no doubt they're going to go all out and try to put on a great final.
Yeah. The World Tag League average star ratings here. I'll try to go a little quicker here for the Tag League. Probably not as much to talk about. Fale and Chase, last place, 2.28. I mean, they were fucking terrible. I don't really have much. I mean, like, they had...
That just sums it up. Terrible.
I mean, Fale looked as bad as he's looked in his entire New Japan career. Just didn't do anything. And Chase is not nearly good enough to make up for that. So they were the only team to get under 2 stars for me, and they got it 3 times. So they were fucking horrible. Yeah, the Ishii Yano match I hated, the Okan Cobb match I hated, and the God match 1 1/4 was the lowest rated match in the tournament by far. So,
and it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. I mean, and Bad Luck Fale's name sums it up. Bad's in his name because bad. Luck's in his name because you'll be lucky if you get a good match. And Fale has nothing to do with the other two. It's just bad.
In 9th place, Guerrillas of Destiny 2.64. I mean, they really weren't that good. Their highest rated match was against Sonata and Shingo, 3 3/4. They had a couple pretty bad matches against Ishii and Yano. Fale and Chase, Okan and Cobb wasn't good either. Finjuice wasn't that good. Tana Hanari was bad also. There's a lot of bad stuff, so that's why they're under 3 stars here. You know, I like Tonga Loa. I mentioned that before. Tama Tonga really just can get in the fucking bin at this point.
You know, it just gets to a point with a wrestler, and there's other wrestlers that fall in this category, but I'm not going to list them because that's not the topic. That you wait for them to improve and be better and be the wrestler they're supposed to be. You just wait for it, but then eventually get to the point where it's like, no, you're just bad.
Yeah.
There is no improvement. There is no getting better. Just you've hit your level, and we're not going to do any better with you. And God here, underwhelming is a nice way of putting it. It's very underwhelming this tournament, especially for a finalist.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, and I've seen, on my personal opinion, I've seen God matches I've liked, but they're so few and far behind that for all their success, it really isn't that memorable or good of a team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they're like really strangely over in America with New Japan fans, and I never been able to figure out why. They're just not very good. And
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw them live, I got swept up because everybody around me is going crazy, so I get swept by the energy and go crazy, you know. And then I leave. I'm like, did I just go crazy for God?
I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But I'm not gonna lie but I've been there in person and heard it, so yeah. It's the truth.
Tied for 8th, Great Okan and Jeff Cobb, and Evo and Yujo Takahashi, both at 3.08. So we're out of bad here. These two teams I thought were pretty, fine. Okan and Cobb, I feel like I enjoyed them more than the ranking here. They just had a lot of matches where, they didn't do a whole lot. Like they squashed Tanahashi and Inari, so I had to give that 2.5. The God match I didn't like that much. Fale Chase were dragging them down. But I love their match with the Tekkers on this show. Went 4 on that. 3 3/4 against Sonata Shingo. A whole bunch of 3.5 star matches that were good. So, I like their tournament. Evo and Yujiro, they were like the 3.5 star masters, and 3 1/4. They hit those two ratings a lot. They never got above 3.5, but I thought they were pretty good. So
I wasn't as into Evil and Yujiro as you were, but at the same time, I look at the bottom teams in the list and I can't move them.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like, but they were fine. I can't really find any real major complaints. Cobb or Khan, I get caught off guard. I mean, you explain it well, but I caught off guard on their low star rating because I really enjoyed them a lot more than the star rating shows.
yeah.
I thought they were a really fun team, and I'm really like, he's still a work in progress, you know, and I got to remind myself of that. But I'm really getting more into Okan now than I did when he first popped in months ago.
I think Okan looks great now, so I totally agree.
You know, it's amazing. You know, this is why you can't discount appearance in wrestling, because when Okan changed his work, it started not his work, his look. It started clicking with me more. It's like, okay, now I can get into Khan.
Yeah, I like it a lot better than the poofy pants.
Yes.
Sixth place, Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano, 3.11. You know, I thought they peaked very high for me. They had a 4-star match with Tanahashi and Inare, 4-star match with Goto and Yoshihashi, and 4 stars with the Tekkers. But then they also had some lows. Fale Chase, 1.5. Evil Yujiro, 2 stars. God, 2.25. So that kind of stuff dragged them down. But I liked their tournament. I think they had a, you know, they were a feast or famine team. But when they were really good, I thought they were really good.
Yeah, I really love Ishii. Ishii's one of my personal favorites, and I'm still mad I haven't seen him in a one-on-one match yet. Yano, I don't need to go over my not being a fan of Yano anymore. I'm just not. But tag team, it works. Sometimes people you don't like as a singles, you put them in a tag team, and you start enjoying them, and that's what I do with this team.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a fine tournament.
Fifth place, Tanahashi and Toru Inare, 3.14, so not that far above 3.11 there. But, you know, they had a couple awesome matches with Ishii and Yano and with the Tekkers. They had some, a few, just like a 2-star match for God, 2.5 for Okan and Cobb, Fale and Chase. A couple 3-star matches with Goto, Yoshihashi, and Evil Yujiro. But, you know, overall, they had more good than bad, I think. You know, it's hard to tell, really. I mean, I did not expect them to finish 1 win, so that was pretty shocking to me. And, you know, their lack of success in kayfabe, you know, almost seems like it held them back a little bit in a weird way, because it's like it was impossible to get behind them and, like, really care about these matches because you knew they were probably going to lose. But which it just feels different than with a young lion like Hiromu, where it's like, oh, come on, kid, get your first win. Here it's like, what are we doing with Tanahashi here? I mean, what is the storyline for Wrestle Kingdom? I don't really get it. But, you know, I like the team, though. I think they deserve their spot in the top 5, even though there's a big gap here between 5 and 4.
Yeah, I had fun with Tanahashi and Hanare, and one of the big reasons is Hanare.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He was one of my favorite individual performers in the World Tag League. I just loved him. I thought he stepped up. I thought he was on fire. I thought he carried the load, which for the story purposes he had to.
Yeah.
And, you know, just even though I knew it wasn't happening, rooted for him to get those wins so bad.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, just like prove me wrong. Go to 2-8. Please don't be 1-9. Please don't lose the God. Oh, damn. You know, but
yeah.
But him in general pumped this team up for me.
Fourth place, Goto and Yoshihashi with a 3.36. They peaked with 4-star matches against Finjuice and Ishii and Yano. Really didn't have the lows of the other teams. Their lowest match was 2 3/4 for Fale and Chase, and, you know, they had a bunch of 3-star stuff. So, you know, just good, solid work out of these two throughout the entire tournament. What you would expect, I think.
Yeah, it's solid work. You know, good chemistry. They've proven they can work together well by this point, so it's not that shocking. So yeah, I love their tournament.
Third place, Finjuice, 3.44. Again, just nothing bad really, other than they got dragged down by fucking Fale and Chase at 2.25. But everything else, 4 stars with Goto and Yoshihashi, 4 again with Sonata and Shingo, 4 again with the Tekkers, bunch of 3.5-star matches, just a ton of good stuff here. Definitely had a real good tournament, and, you know, reminded me how good of a team they were, because, you know, we didn't see them for like 9 months or something. So, you know, they definitely great to have them back.
I'm glad they haven't missed a beat as a team.
Finley was awesome. Finley was
awesome. I agree. Finley. To bring physical appearance for a moment, Finley looks great.
Yeah. I I mean,
Finley looks great. He's wrestling great.
He's lost weight and like changed his tights and stuff.
He just looks great, from physical, from appearance, from his wrestling. Finley was just awesome. And they're a fun team to root for. They're just easy to get behind. They're likable. They engage the crowd, and I don't really have any major negatives.
Yeah. I definitely think they were great. And Juice, a lot of people said he's hit his ceiling and stuff, but like, I don't know. I'm not super convinced. I think he can maybe, still do something more in the singles division at some point. But Finley, I buy the idea that Finley might have more long-term potential because he definitely looks like he's coming into his own here. Second place, Shingo and Sonata, 3.67. Almost no difference between second and first here. But these are the top two teams in this tournament. Sonata and Shingo. I mean, look, I like both these guys, so I'm not super surprised that they've worked well together. But even for my expectations, they've worked better than I thought they would. Like, they just complement each other really well. You have Shingo to run around and throw all these pumping bombers, and Sonata to do his dives and his moonsaults and his dragon sleepers. And for some reason, that partnership really clicks. I think I might like it more than Sonata and Evil, honestly. And I like that team. But this team just has like a surprising amount of chemistry. Their whole stick with like the fiery Shingo and the reserved Sonata really works, and maybe works better than like two reserved guys, I guess, in Sonata and Evil. So I thought this was great, and I thought they had a great tournament. Multiple 4-star matches again with Finn Juice, and the best match of the tournament against the Dangerous Tekkers, which I went 4 1/4 on. But just a outstanding team. A lot of 3 3/4 stuff, a lot of 3.5. Nothing. They got the best match out of Fale and Chase in the entire tournament at 3 1/4, so that probably helped their average a lot too. But yeah, this was a great team, and they had a great fucking tournament.
Great tournament, and I just love them as a tag team. Shingo is one of my favorites of this year of 2020. I'm just really behind Shingo this year, and like I said, Sonata runs hot and cold, but I find that when you tag team, I'm usually enjoying Sonata consistently. What it is, but tag teams can make all the difference for sometimes. And just a great tournament. Deserves to be number 2, but number one is pretty easy.
Yeah, Dangerous Tekkers, 3.69. Again, just they did everything in this tournament. I mean, look, they would go up against all the other heel teams. They would work babyface. Taichi got choking over as a babyface spot in multiple matches. He would come in and do choking comebacks, and the crowd would like clap really loudly and get very excited. So, I mean, when you can get choking over as a babyface spot, that's impressive. And that's how over these guys are right now. They had 4 4-star matches for me with Tana Hanare, Finn Juice, Ishiyano, Okan Cobb. 4 1/4 with Shingo Sonata. So 5 4-star plus matches overall. A couple matches 3 stars with GOD, Fale Chase, and then 3.5 against Goto and Yoshihashi. So, just they carried this tournament. Along with Sonata Shingo, those two teams really brought the high-end stuff to this tournament and really, made this a tournament well worth watching. So that was a great performance by Dangerous Tekkers. To me, solidified the Tag Team of the Year resume because I don't really think there's anybody that close. So
Tag Year for me also, and I'm not number 1 for that very reason. That's just everything I want in the tag team, and it showcased this tournament.
Yeah, for sure. So we can wrap things up here for this segment, at least for the New Japan segment. Again, I will be back right after a brief little interlude here with a solo DDT review. Jerry, before you sign off, would you like to plug your Twitter or anything?
Yes, I'm on Twitter _Jer.
So you broke up there. One more time.
Okay, I'm on Twitter at _Jer.
Okay, I think you broke up there a second time when you. I don't know what's
wrong. They don't want me to.
They don't want you to plug your Twitter.
It's like no. Okay, let's try. _Jer.
I'll put it in the bio because every time you say, I know what you're trying to say is I think Jerius _Jer, right?
Yeah,
and
I don't know why I'm breaking up. I'm sorry.
Every time you say Jerius, you break up. It's amazing. But yes, it'll be in the bio as well. Of course,
like I'm getting scared. So press the button now.
Yeah, you have some Voices of Wrestling articles too, of course, up there. Lots of columns.
Yes, I write a lot for Voices of Wrestling, so read them, like them, disagree with them, but like them.
Yes, there you go. All right, folks. So in a brief moment here, through the magic of audio, I will be back with my DDT D-Ou Night 5 review, or no, Night 6, whichever night it is, Night 6. So I will see you in a second. Thank you again for coming on, Jeri.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Folks, we're back here for the second half, or not second half, because I guarantee you the first part's going to be a lot longer, but the second part of the show. We're going to talk about the DDT D-Ou Night 6, and by we, I just mean me, because it is just me. This has happened before on the free feed, where basically my guest, wasn't able to watch the second show, something came up, so I had to do the other show by myself. It's happened, not a big deal. And unlike the first time this happened, I am very used to doing solo audio now because I do it all the time on the Patreon. So you're getting a little look at what it's like, I guess, on the Omakase Patreon if you're not a subscriber, where I do these kind of solo shows all the time for the tournament. Before I get to the DDT show, though, something broke during the time between when Jeri and I finished recording and when I finished watching the DDT show to do this segment. Which was the card order for the Nippon Budokan final for the World Tag League and Best of Super Junior this coming Friday, December 11th. So, again, all those references throughout the show to, we think Hiromu Despy will probably be the main event. Those turn out to all be true. It was indeed the main event. So we can go over the whole card here really quickly. I will give you all the matches. First of all, the opener, Toru Yano, Sho, and Robbie Eagles versus Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, and Taiji Ishimori. This is the only match in the card that I think is kind of crap. Chaos versus Bullet Club, whatever. But we really had to get fucking Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, on this card. Seems a little silly, but, that's what happened here. As far as, I don't know what this is building, honestly. Maybe an Ishimori Eagles junior title match or something for the Korikans. Or because did Eagles even beat him during the Best of Super Junior? Let's see. I feel like he didn't actually, so I don't really know. This could just be filler, or it could be something to set up a challenger for KOPW, a belt that still does technically exist. If you're wondering, yeah, Ishimori beat Eagles, and he definitely beat Sho, today. So I mean, I don't know what we're setting up there really. But yes, so that is the case. That is, that's a 6-man tag that I really don't know what the point of is, really. If you know what the point is, be sure to @ me on Twitter and let me know, because I have no idea. Match 2, but that first match, though, honestly, the only match on this 6-match card that looks kind of crappy. I mean, really, the rest of this card looks quite exciting. So, match 2, the team of Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Toa Hanare, taking on the team of Will Ospreay, Great-O-Khan, and Jeff Cobb. I kind of figured, even before the card came out, that this was a lock, that we were going to get the first, the first match with, the Empire Trio teaming together. I just figured that was absolutely a lock here. I didn't see coming that would be Okada teaming with Tanahashi again for the first time in a long time. Let me look up exactly when that was. I want to say it's at least a year, because they have not been teaming together. Hontai and Chaos have not been teaming together at all since the restart, I assume because there's just not enough people. But let's see the last time Tanahashi and Okada teamed together. Not quite a year. February 22nd, so before the shutdown at the Manabu Nakanishi retirement event, when it was Goto, Okada, Tana, and Ibushi against the dads, Tenkoji, Nakanishi, and Nagata. So it's been a while, been since February. So definitely something that's cool to say. Now, obviously, they're building Okada Ospreay for 1-4. I assume the other match they're going to set up here is Tanahashi and Great-O-Khan. Tanahashi doesn't have an opponent. Great-O-Khan mentioned, that he wanted to crush Tanahashi after they won that tag match against Tanahashi and Hanare. I just kind of feel like that's what they're setting up here. I could be wrong. It could just be Okada needs teammates, but I just don't really see what other match Tanahashi has at this point. Match 3, not a mystery what they're setting up here. Shingo and Sanada against Evil and Yujiro. This is the only straight-up rematch of a World Tag League match. They met all the way back on night 1 when Evil pinned Sanada with the Evil. And this is just the two teams meeting again. I would assume there's going to be some kind of angle here to set up an Evil versus Sanada singles match for the Dome. Kind of like the rubber match since Sanada beat Evil on the G1 B block final to go to the G1 finals. And then Sanada pinned Evil. Match 4, again, Kota Ibushi and Master Wato against Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, another Ibushi-Naito hype match. And then we get to the double main event. First of all, the World Tag League 2020 Finals, GOD versus Finjuice. And the main event, Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado. I think we talked a lot about both those matches, during our review of the Best of Super Junior World Tag League Finals. Since, we didn't know they were both going to happen. We just didn't know what order it was going to be. But it was indeed what we suspected. The Hiromu Desperado match goes on last, which I'm very excited for. I would assume Hiromu's going to win. I think that one's almost a lock. I assume Finjuice will win too. The only thing that gives me a little pause is that they beat GOD during the World Tag League. So I don't know if they'll... with these fucking tag titles, they have a tendency to do stupid shit. So it wouldn't shock me if GOD wins via cheating and we end up with a 3-way main match for the tag titles at the Tokyo Dome, especially since the Tekkers kind of have a beef with GOD too, since they beat them via cheating in the tag league. So it wouldn't shock me if that happens. I would much rather see Finjuice win this and just go straight to a straight-up match with the Dangerous Tekkers for the tag titles at the Tokyo Dome. But I honestly think it's very likely that we get the fucking 3-way scenario, so I'm preparing for that now. But on the other hand, Hiromu, I think, will beat Desperado, and we'll get Hiromu versus Ishimori at the Tokyo Dome. All right, so that's all the New Japan, I promise. So let's get into DDT here. The D-Ou Grand Prix. I just said D-Ou Grand Prix. D-Ou Grand Prix, Night 6, Tokyo Narimasu Act Hall from today as well, Sunday, December 6th. The Sasaki night off is Chris Brooks. The scheduled night off for each guy, if you haven't been following along with the tournament, it's 2 blocks of 7, so there's always somebody who has a night off, and Sasaki is injured, so he's been injured since night 1, so someone always has a night off because they were supposed to face Sasaki. The scheduled night off is Mao in the A block and Makoto Oishi in the B block. The opener, your non-tournament match, Chris Brooks defeating Hideki Okatani with the Elevator Action Death Parade in 6-13. I really have not been recapping these non-tournament matches much in any of the 3 tournaments. That's not going to change here. It felt 6 minutes. It felt longer than I thought it would go, but I guess it wasn't that long, really. Not exactly. Doesn't exactly indicate that it was thrilling me. But I went 2 3/4, a little above average, nothing special. Match number 2 was the Narimasu Tag Death Match. Boy, was it a death match. Don Shokutino and Saki Akai defeating Toru Owashi and Kazuki Hirata when Akai pinned Hirata with a PK. This was another non-tournament match, I should say. That was an 8:27. So Hirata's music got cut off by Owashi's for a change. So Hirata was mocking Owashi's signature pose, where he puts his legs out, kind of sumo style, and puts his arms out, and Hirata doing it was really funny. We get some butt humor with so basically they said this was a Narimasu death match because they're in the Narimas area of Tokyo. And, apparently the traditional weapon from ancient times was Yuki Ino, Keigo Nakamura, and Imabayashi, the former authority figure who's still weirdly kind of an authority figure. They all showed up with their butts out. They all took their butts out in 3 different corners. Dino was inspired to do the same thing, of course. Hirata then, chops all 4 of the butts, which, activates them into dancing for him. But this backfires on him, dancing with his Tokyo Ghost song, of course. But this backfires on him because Saki Akai sets him up to get all 4 butts to the face when they're all converging in the middle. And then she hits the PK on him. She doesn't even want to touch him after that, so she just kind of lightly puts one foot on top of him for the pin. Then all the butts dance to the back to her Gwen Stefani theme song. That was funny. Funny and gross, but definitely funny. Match number 3 in the A block. Konosuke Takeshita defeats Yukio Sakaguchi by knockout with the Zahi in 11:26. Takeshita goes to 6 points and leaves Sakaguchi at 6 points. So both guys here were circling each other to start. Neither was like seemingly in a rush to go at each other. Yukio finally gets a single middle kick, which hits Takeshita in the chest and his injured left arm. He sells that like death. He even rolls to the outside in pain. After that, he gets back up and they clinch up. And then Sakaguchi starts throwing a couple knees to the bad arm. Tries to get a hold of the arm, but Takeshita backs up into the ropes to force a break. Yukio then gets a hold of the arm a second time back in the middle of the ring, gives it another hard kick, which sends Takeshita down to the mat in pain. He goes for another arm lock. Takeshita locks his hands to block. Takeshita keeps trying to fight back, but Yukio just keeps going to the arm to easily fight him off. Just anytime he do anything, he just go right back to the arm. He then stretches it against the bottom rope for good measure. Sakaguchi finally gets an arm lock incompletely, but Takeshita is able to scramble to the bottom rope to break just as we get the 5-minute call. Takeshita starts doing his best to fight back with his other arm. He deadlifts Yukio out of a front guillotine into a big front suplex. Yukio, though, gets an armbar takedown to the good arm and then switches on the mat into a key lock on the bad arm. That was some really nice mat wrestling. He then turns it into a Fujiwara armbar as Takeshita tries to reach out with the ropes, and then surprisingly rolls it into a choke sleeper when Takeshita almost makes the ropes. Just great mat wrestling here from Sakaguchi. Takeshita eventually stands. He drives Sakaguchi back in the turnbuckle with him still on his back to break the sleeper. But Yukio then dodges a charge and goes after the arm again in the corner, and then rolls him straight into the middle of the ring and back into the arm lock. Really, that's all on the ref there. He should have forced Yukio to let go since they were in the ropes. But Takeshita makes the ropes again. This time Sakaguchi does let go. Takeshita comes back with a blue thunder bomb. That was the only moment in the match where he fucked up, because he'd done such a great job not doing anything with the bad arm, but he really had to lift him with the bad arm for the blue thunder bomb. Shouldn't have done that. Gets a 2 count. Takeshita gets a nice combo of elbows, a big short arm lariat, of course with the good arm, for a close near fall just before the 10-minute call. He tries to lift Sakaguchi up after that, but then he gets his back into a choke sleeper again. Takeshita tosses him off, tries for a big kick. Sakaguchi tries to take him down to the armbar again, but Takeshita rolls through it into a cradle for a very close near fall. Man, this match rules. Sakaguchi misses a high kick, so Takeshita dumps him right on his head with a German suplex. Yukio no-sells it and hits a huge running knee, but Takeshita no-sells that, hits his own running knee, which is the Zehi, and that leaves... Is that what it is? The Zehi, or did I just make that up? I'm sorry, the Zahi. I don't know what Zehi is. Zehi is like a Japanese word, I think. I don't know what it is right now. But anyway, Takeshita no-sells that, hits his own running knee, and that leaves both guys down as we get a double knockdown count. Takeshita beats the 10 count, but Sakaguchi can't, and that gives Takeshita the win. I am going to look up what Zehi means, because I know it means something, and it's bothering me. So Zehi means absolutely by all means. There you go. I knew it meant something. Anyway, yes, Takeshita beats the 10 count. Sakaguchi can't. That gives Takeshita the win. This was awesome. This was one of the best matches in the whole tournament so far. The clear match of the night, and it being, the first tournament match was the match of the night here. I mean, Yukio Sakaguchi, who was the perfect opponent for Takeshita at this point, with Takeshita's arm hanging on by a thread, and just doing the Go Shiozaki thing all tournament. Every time he got a hold of that arm, you thought Takeshita was going to have to tap, or the ref would have to stop it. Takeshita survived by the skin of his teeth. Ultimately ends up feeling like he got lucky at the end there with the big knockout knee. It didn't feel unrealistic that he won, even though, Yukio Sakaguchi with all his submission wrestling should be a perfect opponent to take apart an injured arm like that. And he was, but, he's gotten lucky. Other than that one blue thunder bomb, he did it without using his bad arm at all, really. So, good stuff here. 4 stars. This ruled. Exactly the kind of pro wrestling I love. And this, by the way, was my first match from the A block through these 6 nights of 4 stars or better. I have 3 other matches of 4 stars flat so far, but they're all from the B block. So, like I said, it hasn't been that good of a tournament, but the B block has been better. Match number 4, also A block, Hiroshima versus Akito ends in a draw after a double pinfall in 16:26. That puts Hiroshima at 7 points and Akito at 5 points. They start out on the mat, as I fully expected. They get their legs all tied up before Hiroshima switches to trying for an armbar. But Akito stands up out of that, goes back to the leg lock. Hiroshima reverses that, gets a front neck lock, tries for his own armbar. Akito locks his hands to block and reverses into a leg breaker, followed by a figure four of sorts. Good technical wrestling here, maybe a little slow. Hiroshima makes the ropes to break. Akito stays on Hiroshima's legs afterward, but Hiroshima reverses into his own leg lock, which sends Akito scrambling to the ropes to break it. Hiroshima then gets a hard kick to his legs while he's on the apron. That sends Akito scrambling to get away, but Hiroshima just keeps kicking at him. Finally, referee Matsui makes him back off with Akito in the ropes, but Hiroshima only does so momentarily. He starts kicking at him again, then starts standing on the leg as well. Hiroshima stays on the leg. He puts a leg lock on in the middle of the ropes for a bit before Akito... Or the middle of the... What did I say? Middle of the rope? I don't know what I meant by that note. He puts it on, and then Akito finally leaps over to the ropes to break. The two of them trade elbows in the middle of the ring. I have to say, it makes little sense that neither guy is really selling their leg after all that. They just look fine. I mean, Akito might have been selling it a little bit, but not even that much. They do start kicking each other in the leg at least, before Hiroshima fires off some middle kicks. Akito catches one of them and hits a nasty-looking dragon screw. He follows up with a basement drop kick and then the Danielson-style surfboard double leg breaker. Then another basement drop kick just as we get the 10-minute call. Akito does his weird arm track dragon screw, but Hiroshima then counters him into the Italian stretch. I guess he's been watching his Doki tapes. I don't know. I mean, he probably got it from some other guy. I don't know. But it's just funny because Doki's been doing it in every match. Akito gets out of that by attacking the leg. Hiroshima chops him repeatedly in the corner, sets him up on the top rope before delivering a superplex. I feel like there must be someone much more famous who uses the Italian stretch, and now someone's going to get mad at me for saying it was Doki's move. But I can't think of who it is right now. So if you know, feel free to, again, at me on Twitter, at Wrestling Omakase. But yes, Hiroshima covers for a 2 count, and then when Akito kicks out, he immediately transitions back to a leg lock. He gets a figure four momentarily, but Akito turns it over the moment Hiroshima gets it on. I can't recall ever seeing that before, so that was cool. Hiroshima turns it back over. Akito turns it over again, and they both end up rolling to the ropes, so that was certainly inventive at least. Hiroshima hits a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. He then hits a Gut Buster. At least remembers to sell his leg after he hits the Gut Buster on the knee. But then he runs full force and hits a double foot stomp with no problem. He was going for the Somato at first, but Akito laid down to avoid it. So he went with the foot stomp again. What leg work? Hiroshima teases going with the Somato again. This time Akito rolls all the way to the floor. Hiroshima goes after him and throws him back in, but Akito grabs onto the bottom rope to try and avoid going back in the ring. He suddenly grabs Hiroshima's leg as he's sliding in behind him and slams it down hard all the way to the floor. But Hiroshima comes back with a kick on the apron. He goes for the Somato on the apron, but Akito dodges, and Hiroshima slams into the ring post, or slams his leg into the ring post. Basically he dodges and he goes fucking knee first in the ring post. It looked nasty. At this point, the ref's count is getting pretty high. Akito gets back in the ring, so this could easily be the count out. And Akito even drop kicks him off the apron. For some reason, the refs keeps counting. I don't know why. But Hiroshima still beats the count at 19. Real good tease there. Back in the ring, Akito catches Hiroshima's leg on a kick, goes for one of his wacky submissions, but Hiroshima sort of counters, and they end up in a double pin situation where both their shoulders down is stuck in a ball, and Matsui counts a double pin, so it's a draw. I didn't like this that much. It's been a trend for me with Akito in this tournament. Again, I usually love him, but this tournament he's been bad. This match was super slow. They blew off the legwork pretty constantly and just ran around whenever they felt like doing it. And then sitting through all that just to get the stupid double pin finish sure did not help. I can call it above average because the mat wrestling was technically good, but that, it's not even 3 stars for me. It's 2 3/4. Just not that good. So, there you go. Match number 5 in the B block now. Yuki Ueno defeats Shuma Katsumata with the WR in 13:56. which brings Ueno up to 6 points and leaves Shuma still at 2 points. This is a battle of two DDT Sauna Club members. Also includes Mao and Takashita. I think that's what's behind the wacky theme song at the start. They start out fast before Shuma rolls out to the floor. Ueno eventually... This starts a whole big sequence. So Ueno follows him out there, slams him, tosses him back in. Shuma log rolls to the other side, right out of the ring on the other side. Ueno slides out there, slams him on the mat on the floor again, tosses him back in. Shuma rolls away all the other side again. So Ueno follows him again, slams him again. That actually made me laugh out loud. He tosses him again. Shuma log rolls to the other side of the ring, this time not out of it. And then when Ueno gets close to him, he log rolls all the way back out the side he just came. So there you go. We finally break this weird cycle when Shuma grabs a pair of chairs, sets them up on the outside. This part goes on forever. Like, basically, to recap it very quickly, Ueno asked to take 10 years to finally go out there. He sits in the other chair. Shuma starts waving a towel around him. I guess this is a Sauna Club reference. But then he starts choking him with it instead. Real thrilling stuff here. Did I mention the other two Sauna Club members are Mao and Takashita? I can't remember if I did or not. But that's the Sauna Club. Back in the ring, Shuma gives Ueno a neck twist, locks him in a head scissors. Ueno ends up coming back with a nice high drop kick, which sends Shuma all the way to the floor. But when Ueno tries to follow him out there with a dive, Shuma hits him with a chair right to the face in midair. That was pretty sick. Shuma sets up a whole chair pile on top of Ueno, goes up the top rope, but Ueno gets up on the apron to try and stop him. Shuma grabs his arms, though, and hits like this cool double knee attack that just drives him down on the apron. That looked pretty damn cool. And then Ueno, though, comes back by slamming Shuma down hard on the chair pile all the way from the apron. That looked like it sucked for Shuma. He rolls Shuma back in the ring and covers for a 2 count. Back in the ring, Ueno hits a full Nelson backbreaker, locks in a high-angle Boston Crab. Shuma gets out. We end up doing a ref bump spot so Shuma can bring a chair in the ring. Ueno grabs the chair. They fight over it, but Shuma slams the chair onto his fingers, like opens and closes it. Then super kicks him down to a seated position on the chair. Super kicks him again while he's sitting there. And then gives him his angle slam-esque thing, the almost looks like a rich clutch angle slam. I don't know. He probably has a name for it. I don't know what it is. He puts the chair on top of Ueno, tries for a dive off the top, but Ueno pulls the chair up to block it, and then cradles him for a 2 count. Ueno and Shuma then go back and forth with counters and then cradles. Each of them are foot stomping the other during the cradles as well, or between the cradles. And Ueno heads up to the top rope, delivers a frog splash, but Shuma kicks out once again. They trade more cradles before Shuma hits a low blow with the referee's back turned and cradles him for another 2 count. And then Shuma starts trying to hide behind the ref, but the ref jumps for cover. When Ueno hits a big running enziguri, that was awesome. The ref is just like, I am not getting hit by this. Fuck you, Shuma. Just dives out of the ring. And Ueno follows it up with the WR that, I don't know what it was, like a cradle bomb. I don't know what to call it, really. It's called the WR. And that gets the pin. This was trending badly at the start, but by the end, I actually liked it. They did enough cool stuff that I can overlook how bad the early portion was and go 3 1/4 overall. Nothing I can tell you, drop everything and watch this match, but it was enjoyable enough. So 3 1/4. The semifinal, Tetsuya Endo loses to Soma Takao. Soma Takao beats him in 16:37 with the gin and tonic. So Soma goes up to 6 points and Endo's stuck at 7. His first loss in the tournament. Endo and Soma start by trading some holds. Endo knocks Soma down with a shoulder block. And then when Soma kips back up right away, Endo starts trying some flash pins for 2 counts. Soma rolls to the floor, and Endo does a karate pose for some reason. That made me laugh. Endo and Soma then both arm themselves with those big metal tins, as we saw, I think, at another Soma match against Akiyama or something. But Soma takes advantage of the distraction to push referee Matsui into Endo, who essentially gives him a shoulder block. Really a good shoulder block by the ref there. Takao then gives Tetsuya a drop kick, which sends him to the floor. We get some slow crowd brawling before Endo kind of lightly whips Soma into the ring post. He drives him back first into the post as well. Certainly nothing fast-paced about this match right now at this point. We get the 5-minute call as they roll back in the ring. Endo hits a hard chop in the corner, leaps over the apron, and then drops him first over the top rope after he had him in a cravat for a little bit. Endo keeps working over Soma back in the ring. Not terribly interesting offense. I was waiting patiently at this point for the match to get interesting. Thankfully it would, pretty soon after this, actually. Soma finally gets up in his face for a nice little elbow exchange. Endo goes low with a knee to put a stop to that. Soma misses a drop kick when Endo grabs on the ropes to stop himself, but then he catches him with a drop kick the second time after a somersault roll. He then hits a nice high knee to the face in the corner, followed by a quick double stomp off the second rope for a 2 count. Soma goes for the second rope DDT. Endo flips as he's about to land into it, which was definitely a cool counter. Like, basically, the second rope DDT is like the deep impact that Kanemaru does, which I think the announcer even called it that, was kind of funny. And like the moment Soma's about to go head first, he instead flips onto his feet. It looked awesome. He comes back with a big springboard forearm that just wipes Soma out. And this match got really exciting at this point. Endo catches Soma trying to go for a leapfrog, gives him a Manhattan drop instead, then hits a kick and a nice standing moonsault for a 2 count just before the 10-minute call. He rolls Soma into a stranglehold, but Soma is able to make the ropes to break after a brief struggle. Soma comes back with a backcracker. They both go for like a double underhook something. I don't know. Neither one gets anybody lifted even, so I don't know what they're going for. First Endo, then Soma. First Soma, then Endo. And then Soma backs him up into the corner. He ends up setting him up on the top rope and tries for a Rana, but Endo pushes him off, so he's hanging on the ropes instead. And then Endo does, he goes out to the apron on the other side of the corner and does this cool running one-leg drop kick. He runs across the apron, jumps over the top rope, and gets the kick, all in one motion. It's really cool looking. A little hard to describe maybe, but very cool looking. Endo then hits an attitude adjustment for a 2 count. I love that that's what they all call it, attitude adjustment. Just go, da, 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 da. I don't know what I'm doing, folks. We're 2 hours in, and I'm by myself here. But I remember one time I was watching, God, what the hell, Colin Delaney? Remember him? When he had this run in Chikara as a heel to get booed, he would, do all these WWE spots. And, this was after he was in WWE, remember? And every time he would do an FU/attitude adjustment, he would do the little da, 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 he'd yell it out, and then he'd do the move. It's the best thing Colin Delaney ever did, I think. Anyway, the two of them trade cradles for near falls. They end up rolling all the way to the other side of the ring, but just when it looks like Endo is trapped, he's actually in the ropes. So Matsui has to stop counting. Pretty great spot, though, even though, I thought Takao had him for a second, honestly. Endo comes back with a kick, then a Canadian Destroyer. Soma no-sells it, tries to cut back into a pin for a 2 count. He then rolls them back to their feet and just sits straight down, almost like a half gin and tonic. He didn't get the other leg, but it still looked nasty. Just dropped Endo on his head. That gets another close near fall. And this match is very good now after the rough start. And Soma gets a Michinoku driver for yet another 2 count as someone is revving an engine outside. So I apologize if you can hear that. He picks Endo up and goes for the vertebreaker. Endo flips back onto his feet and gets Takao straight up on his shoulders and looks like he's going for the one-winged angel. So another shout out to Kenny Omega, I guess. The gamer. But Soma escapes and hits a roaring elbow. Endo gets a handspring into a roll-up. I don't know if I've ever seen a handspring into a roll-up before. That was awesome. They trade more cradle attempts before Soma gets a La Magistral into the Endless Waltz, where he just keeps rolling them. But Endo kicks out again. I really thought the Endless Waltz was going to be the pin. But then, right after that, Soma drops him straight down his head with the real gin and tonic, both legs hooked. That finally gets him the pin. Endo's first loss in the tournament to his stablemate in Damnation. I can't quite go 4 stars, given how much I didn't like the early portion of the match. But this is fucking great by the end, so it's 3 3/4. I mean, this was a match that probably gains a lot if you watch it unspoiled, which I guess you can't if you just listen to me talk about it. But they had me on the edge of my seat with these endless near falls towards the end. And I love flash pins, as longtime listeners probably know. It's a thing I'm definitely a mark for. And these flash pin counters were awesome. Soma felt like he earned every bit of that win over the previously unbeatable champion. So this was awesome. I mean, not much else to say about it. It was just a great match. Other than the start, which wasn't that great. The main event, Kazusada Higuchi defeats Jun Akiyama with the Brain Claw pin in 4:03. Not a typo. Higuchi moves up to 7 points, and Akiyama drops down to 6, or still at 6, I should say. So we start out with a big side headlock from Akiyama. Higuchi gets out, and they collide. Akiyama hits a jumping knee. Higuchi completely no-sells it and knocks Akiyama down with a big lariat. Jun starts throwing some elbows. Higuchi fires back with chops. Neither guy's given an inch here. And Higuchi's chops are really hard. I mean, Akiyama's chest was like beet red. Higuchi finally backs Jun up into the corner with the chops and then whips him into the opposite one and then gives him 2 straight running lariats. He hits a power slam, then heads up to the top rope where he hits a big flying splash for a 2 count. And then Higuchi goes for a sumo charge. Akiyama counters with a jumping knee, then another running knee to a kneeling Higuchi for a 2 count, and then a second knee for another 2 count. He hits an exploder suplex to Higuchi for a 2 count. He locks in his signature front guillotine. Okay, guys, outside. Calm the fuck down. Anyway, they're definitely not wasting any time here. And judging by the remaining runtime on the show, I can't say I'm not surprised. So, and then Higuchi quickly powers Jun out of the guillotine and then catches him with the Iron Claw. He gets the STO out of the claw position, keeps the claw on, and that shockingly gets the pin. So yes, Higuchi pinned Akiyama in just 4 minutes. Pretty amazing stuff. About as good as 4-minute matches you can possibly have, I think. I went 3.5. I'm a little disappointed they didn't go longer, but the finish was just so like out of nowhere and just really cool that it almost feels kind of worth it. So overall, this was the best D-O night since the excellent night 1 at Corkin. I mean, it's sort of damning it with faint praise because nights 2 through 5 were really not that great. I mean, night 5, the last one I think was like the second best night, when that was just a night where like everything was fine, nothing was bad. Here we have like, one match I didn't love, Hiromu and Akito. Everything else was good at least, and 2 matches here, Soma and Endo and Takeshita and Sakaguchi, I think were pretty damn great. So, this was not like a fucking show of the year contender for sure, but definitely an enjoyable show, which after how disappointing this D-O has been, I will take it. Let's look at our standings. We only got 1 show left, night 7. Got a week off here. It's not till 6 days off, I should say. It's not till next Saturday. So let's see. Remember, as I go through the standings and the matches for next week, there are no tiebreakers this year. There's no direct confrontation tiebreaker. It's Champion Carnival rules, not G1 rules. If 2 guys are tied in points, or presumably more, they have a match, and whoever wins the match, they have to have a decision match. It doesn't matter who beat who during the D-O. Any people tied in points, they have a decision match to decide the block. No tiebreaker. A block. Hiromu is on top, 3-1-1 with 7 points. Right behind him, Yukio Sakaguchi, Chris Brooks, Konosuke Takeshita, all 3-2 with 6 points. Akito, 2-2-1 for 5 points. Mao, 2-3 for 4 points. And Daisuke Sasaki, of course, forfeited all his matches after his first match. He is 1-5 at 2 points. B block. Higuchi on top. Technically Endo is on top so they both have 7 points. Endo is 3-1-1 with 7 points. Higuchi is 3-2-1 with 7 points. Higuchi's done. Higuchi has no more matches. He's the guy in the B block who doesn't have any matches in the last night. So Endo would be ahead of him because he has 1 more match still. So yeah, those are the 2 guys with 7 points. Then you got 3 guys with 6 points. Jun Akiyama, Soma Takao, Yuki Ueno, all 3-2 for 6 points. And then bringing up the rear, Shuma Katsumata and Makoto Oishi, both 1-4 for 2 points. Night 7 is Narimasu Act Hall, Saturday, December 12th, next Saturday. We finally get a 6-match card here because this was Daisuke Sasaki's scheduled night off. So, he hasn't wrestled since night 1 because of injury. And the scheduled night off for B is Katsudata Higuchi. So, A block, Takeshita versus Hiromu, Yukio Sakaguchi versus Akito, Mao versus Brooks. Very simple in the A block. Hiromu is the only guy at 7 points. If he beats Takeshita, he wins the block. Nothing nobody else can do. Takeshita wins. He could tie. We could end up with a tiebreaker situation with Sakaguchi or Brooks. If either one of them get to 8 points as well, or both of them, we would have to have a decision match. It sounds like that would be on the December 12th show, I think. I don't know if that's been confirmed. It could be on the final night, which isn't until, it's weeks later. Yeah, December 27th, on Sunday, December 27th. But yeah, there would be a tiebreaker in that situation, but very easy. Hiromu is the only guy who controls his own destiny. If he beats Takeshita, he wins the block. B block, a little more complicated. Tetsuya Endo, again, Endo controls his own destiny too. So, same thing in the B block. If Endo wins his match, he's the only guy at 7 points who has another match. So it's Tetsuya Endo versus Makoto Oishi, Soma Takao versus Shuma Katsumata, Yuki Ueno versus Jun Akiyama. Endo beats Oishii, which on paper he should. In actuality, maybe Oishii's going to get the big upset here. But on paper, he should win this match. If Endo wins, he wins the block, and that's it. There's not anybody else can do. Higuchi is still alive, but he has to get a lot of help, basically. He needs Oishii to win. He needs Soma to lose to Shunma. And then he needs Ueno and Akiyama, who both have 6 points, to go to a draw of some kind, which isn't out of the question. We've seen a ton of draws in this tournament, honestly. Then we would have a 4-way tie with Endo, Ueno, Akiyama, and Higuchi, and they would meet somehow in a tiebreaker. If Soma and Shunma go to a draw, then there would be a 5-way tie. That I don't think will happen. But yeah, that's the scenario for Higuchi. He's still alive, even though this is he doesn't have any more matches left, but he would need some help for sure. As far as my predictive final, I don't know. I really thought Akiyama was going to the final. I'm just going to stick with that, I guess. He beats Ueno. Soma, I guess Soma can lose to Shunma, why not? And Oishii can beat Endo. Or they can do some kind of tiebreaker thing with Soma and Akiyama. And then at that point, you get in Akiyama, let's say Akiyama Harashima, why not? Because, I don't think Takashi is going to the final. I think the arm injury is the way to get him out of it. So Harashima will win that match. And then we can get Harashima and Akiyama as a final. I mean, a All Japan / Noah legend versus a DDT legend. So, sounds good to me. And Akiyama could win this thing. I mean, wouldn't shock me at all. And then we could do Akiyama Endo again with Akiyama going for revenge since Endo did beat him on night 1 of the tournament. So, we'll have to wait and see, though. That'll be next Saturday. So this episode's gone quite long, so let me sign off here. Thank you for listening, as always. Again, one more plug for the Patreon. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Only $5 gets you all of our stuff. This week we'll be starting a new one-match series for the Tokyo Dome main events. That'll be the big thing. You can go back and listen to all the D-Ou shows we did, all the Best of Super Junior, all the World Tag League, and G1, and Champion Carnival, and N1 if you want, plus all the 5-match episodes we do, which are just me and a guest picking out awesome matches. I mean, I always see people going through the archives of that and liking it and stuff on the Patreon. So that's evergreen content, Other than I guess us rambling about whatever timely things we rambled about at the start. Sometimes that's not as evergreen, but when we're rambling about how we hate the pandemic and how it's going on forever, I guess that's still the case. So, but yeah, $5. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. Next week here on the free feed, we are going to wrap up. We'll sort of wrap up the DO. It'll be the last tournament show. And we will wrap up the World Tag League and Best Super Junior Finals. So my guest will be JoJo, returning to the show here from Japan. He will be coming to us from Japan, I should say, to wrap up the World Tag League and Best Super Junior Final. So we'll cover that show from Friday, and we'll cover the DO Night 7 from Saturday. That will be next week here on the free feed. And then after that, it'll be year in review season. So stay tuned for that. More details as they come. Still got to line up all the guests and everything. I am losing my voice because this is my 3rd straight day of audio and my 17th in a row. It feels my 17th out of 20 or some shit. I have been working hard on that Patreon, folks. So again, thank you if you're a subscriber. If you're not, please come check us out. I'm going to take a day or two off here, drink some tea, hopefully be ready to go with one more one-match stuff. In the meantime, thank you as always for listening. Follow us on Twitter at WrestleOmakase, Wrestling When Fit. Thanks again to Jeri for coming on for the New Japan portion. And I will see you all next time.